Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. Welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Today's guest is either a misunderstood genius or he's a complete lunatic with a welder and an unlimited access to junk piles. All right. For over 20 years, he's been one of the loudest, one of the funniest, one of the most unapologetically chaotic personalities in the air-cooled Volkswagen world. This man has built an empire out of scrap metal, bad decisions, rusted refrigerators, and pure determination. He's chopped apart cars most people are too scared to even touch. He's engineered bizarre VW inventions with names that sound fake, but somehow actually work. He has survived internet drama, club politics, enough fabrication disasters to probably violate several state laws, and somehow through all of it became one of the most recognizable personalities across the VW scene. He's got a 1956 chop top oval Beetle that is legendary. His YouTube channel, Duckman Cycles and VW Garage, has helped inspire tens of thousands of builders to stop making excuses and just start creating. Man, I checked it out. This dude is sitting at about 92,000 subscribers. You heard that right, 92,000 subscribers. After getting pushed out of his former club during one of the biggest controversies the Gulf Coast VW scene has seen in years, this dude came back swinging and launched one of the fastest growing VW clubs around, Oil Slicker Society International. They've reached about 150 club members in just under 200 days. We'll talk about that. Built on chaos, built on inclusion, built on orange, crushing energy, ladies and gentlemen. Hide your scrap metal, lock your Volkswagens up. The Duckman has entered the building. Glenn Obert, welcome to DubLife Diaries.
Hey, thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate being here. That was quite an intro. Wow.
Oh man, no problem.
You didn't have to lie so much.
Wow, no, man, you're quite the interesting dude. This is going to be an awesome one, man. Thank you so much for taking the time, being willing to jump on this podcast with us. I say us because this is what I do it for. I do it for the Volkswagen community. Before we get going, let me give a shout out to a few of my sponsors. First up on the list, Volksmania magazine. You guys see them on my shirt. You know how I feel. Flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. Give these guys a shout. Give them a check out. Volksmania.com. You can use the discount code DubLife10 when you check out. You'll get 10% off of your subscription. It only works in the US though, so US subscribers only. Also, shout out to Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay, Salty Dub is tearing up the West Coast VW scene with epic events and swag. One piece of swag that I'll mention right now, you can get them on the website, saltydub.com. This is our vent clip to hold your vent window open on your classic ride, all right? We all know you get going first gear, second gear. As soon as you get out of second gear, shift to third, the window wants to come back on you and blow closed. All right, we came up with something, me and my buddy Alan, that allows you to not have to experience that. You clip it around, you bring it around the clip this. It's easy. I'll put instructions in there for you. Check us out, saltydub.com. Hey, same discount code works, DubLife10, DUBLIFE, the number 10. Last shout out, Vera Upholstery of St. Pete, Alan Guvara, and the team. These guys do epic interiors for both the marine industry and now their new automotive line as well. These guys are booked out all the way through, I don't know, next summer. No kidding. I mean, booked out. Why? Because they do some of the most epic interiors I've ever seen. Award winning, bug jam winning, all the rest of that. They've even recently won awards for the state and locally in Tampa Bay here for being the top upholstery shop. So check those guys out, veraupholstery.com. My friend Glenn, it's back to you. No more shout outs. All right.
Next shout out's mine.
Next shout out. Sure. All right. So let's go ahead, man. Let's roll the sleeves up. Let's get going. For those who don't know you or have never heard of you, tell us, who is Glenn Obert?
Who is question is one of those ones that people always get wrong because they never really describe who they are. They just tell their name. But who I am is I'm a mischievous character. I'm somebody that always gets into stuff, and I'm the guy that likes to take the road less traveled. I'd like to get into trouble, not so much trouble, but that mischief. Mischief is the zest of life, of course, and that's what keeps you going. And somehow I always manage to get into things and I always come out smelling like roses. And we're going to talk about some of that. I mean, it's a lot about drive, decisions, and a plan. And when you have those things and you put the right tools in place, you can get to where you need to be. And that's who I am. Otherwise, more recently, well, you may have known me as the Duckman Cycles VW Garage, and you may also know me from some of my other YouTube channels. But you might also know me from having Skeeter the duck in the past, the pet duck that I used to carry around everywhere that lived to be almost 18 years old, and I loved her to
Hey.
death. And if you don't know me from one of those two things, and more recently, you might know me as the director of the Oil Slicker Society. Oh, it's on this side. So there's a lot of things that I get into, and if I come up with an idea, I'm the guy that makes it happen.
Okay. Awesome. The guy that makes it happen. Again, thank you
I
for
make it
your
happen.
time. Thank you for your energy. Let's get into what you do. All right. What's one of the weirdest things you've ever pulled out of a junk pile and thought, you know what? I'm going to make this work for a Volkswagen.
Well, aside from the washers and dryers that people have seen me build stuff out of, I'm not going to buy a body part if I have something in the yard I could just cut up. But the weirdest thing was probably the top half of an ATV that I welded onto the top of a Volkswagen pan. Have you seen that one? The ATVW?
No, but I'm going to share it.
Yeah, you can ride it like a four-wheeler. It has a hand clutch, has a hand throttle, and a stick shift on the right side.
Dude. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really interesting piece. I took it to the local motorcycle dealership down the street I've been friends with. I towed it over there, and they saw me coming down the road with it, and like, what is he up to now? And then I drove around the back, and it's wider than a Beetle because it has super wide slicks on it, and they was just like everybody was dumbfounded because I got the top of the chassis from them, and they're like, now we know what you're up to.
Dang, man. That's actually really cool. I'm going to share that. I can't wait to. Where'd the name
Thank
Duck,
you.
where'd Duckman come from? At what point did people actually start calling you the Duckman?
Well, back in the 90s, I had a parrot named Duckburger. And, you know, most people usually named their AOL handle or something back in the day after their pet, and I did exactly that. It was duckburger at AOL.com, which is no longer an email address, so don't spam me. But I became known as Ducky shortly after that, and then I ended up with Skeeter the Duck, so people just started calling me the Duckman, and it just stuck.
What
And I
kind of
ended up moving
bird?
it over
So
to
it was a
YouTube.
parrot?
No, she was a duck.
Oh, you said you had a duck back then. Sorry, I thought you said you had a
Yeah,
parrot.
Skeeter, I'm sorry. Duckburger was a parrot. Skeeter was the duck.
Yes. So the
Ske
parrot, tell me what kind of parrot it was.
it was actually a proper parakeet, a Quaker. It was a
Okay, a
Quaker.
Quaker. So the green
Yeah.
Quaker, we see them on the power lines all over Florida.
Yeah, you do over there in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
I've
Cool.
seen a couple up here recently too. I haven't seen them before, but yeah, more recently they're up here now too.
I had a buddy that had a Quaker when I was growing up. It was trained. It was really cool. It was a really cool bird. It could step up. It could talk. It could do all kinds of stuff. I was into birds too. African grays, cockatoos, cockatiels even.
Hmm.
I had a cockatiel. I had a pedestal sink in my house when I was growing up. And at the bottom of the pedestal sink was this little kind of a nesting box. I mean, shit, now that I know
Uh-huh.
it so well. This bird used to get out of his cage, which I'd let him have free range, right? He'd walk down his little ladder. This was the cockatiel. And he would go into that little area. And sometimes I'd lose him and be like, oh my gosh, where is he? I don't know where he. And finally I found him. She would lay eggs in there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man, it was actually nuts.
They
But
find their little spot and that's what they do.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Cool bird though. But I've always loved birds. So when I hear Duckman and I hear about your past with birds, I think it's cool conversation.
I do enjoy my birds, especially my chickens nowadays. As I told you, I needed to get them set up this morning before I could start the interview because otherwise they'd be in the window right here, banging on the glass, squawking. And I
Yeah,
do have roosters too, and they will just scream their heads off if they haven't been fed.
I I hear them interrupting your videos all the time.
They do. They
Yeah,
do. And usually they're quite quiet until I speak. When they hear my voice, then they gotta overpower me. They're competing.
they know it's time.
Yep.
That's funny. So you have been building, I guess, weird stuff. You've been documenting chaos online for
Hmm.
time, over 20 years. the YouTube thing, like, did you ever imagine that YouTube would become what it's become now when you started, 20 years ago?
No, honestly, I didn't. Back when I started, I mean, 10,000 subscribers was a lot. And I remember when I got my first thousand, people were impressed by that. And then I had my first video, which had 40,000 views on it. And that was just an amazing, staggering number for the day, 20 years ago, back before YouTube was even owned by Google. It was its own thing. And I didn't expect it to grow into what it is. And it's changed so much too. Now everybody has such polished productions. It's no longer about the little individual creators so much anymore. Everybody puts these huge budgets into it with a film editing crew and cameras and lights
Yeah,
and
yeah.
million-dollar budget projects that I just can't compete with that. And I do the best that I can with what I got, and I think I do pretty good for what I got.
I think you do pretty good, man. 91,500 subscribers. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
And that's
impressive.
just the one channel. I've got several more, and there's few that people don't even know about. That's me. I've been up to a lot of things over the years.
Super impressive still, though. Was there a moment that you realized, back in the beginning, like, oh no, like people are actually watching this? Like you gotta
I
start.
never had I never had an oh no moment. I had a oh really moment. What can I do with this now that people are listening to me? I have the power to influence and then to discuss things with people and to share ideas. So I was never frightened. I've always been somebody that's been a one in the spotlight. And my teachers used to say it in school, why do you draw attention to yourself? Well, clearly it's worked for me. You'll never be anything. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
I
I
think I
love
did
that.
pretty well for myself to be able to retire at 39 years old doing this, and not have to worry about anything else by calling attention to myself. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, it wasn't so much an oh no, it was more of an oh really.
Okay. So the air-cooled community, Volkswagen community, I guess, as a whole, I mean,
hmm
I kind of feel like we're a little bit different, right? Do you feel like VW people seem wired differently than normal car people? I'm sure you've had, your opportunity to see, a wide array of different car cultures.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, just for the fact that these cars look so different, there's really nothing else that's like it. And they were produced for such a long period of time, relatively unchanged, that it's such an identifiable icon of a character. I'm not even calling it a car, it's a character.
Right.
These cars have personality. And as a result, their owners are also just as eccentric as these vehicles are.
Yeah.
And whether it comes to opening up a manual and looking at how these things work, because these Ford and Chevy guys get on all the time, you're doing that wrong. I'm like, no, this is a Volkswagen. You don't have to tighten those heads to 100 foot-pounds. Stuff like that. It's just these cars are very, very different. You don't work them the same way. And as a result, the entire culture that goes along with it is just different. We're much more free thinking, I think. We're
Mm.
much more sharing, adventurous. We have more of a bond with each other. And I think we're a big family. We're just a huge community.
Yeah. Speaking of community, is the community getting weirder or is it getting softer these days? What's your opinion there?
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask that. Me, I see a lot of people bring cars to me, the ones that I make the repair videos on, that they're not interested in working on these cars. They don't want to learn how. And they expect that they could just turn the key in it and drive it for 10 years like you can any new car off of any one of the dealer lots.
Right,
And these
right.
cars do need a little more tuning. So I'd say it's probably getting a little softer. But
Okay.
there are a lot of young folks that are coming into our club that are joining our tech sessions that want to learn how these things work. And Aiden was one of our big guys. He just turned 18 years old and he tore his engine out of his Beetle for the first time at the tech session and replaced a whole bunch of seals with our guidance, but he did majority of the work himself. And
Was he
as
the
a
one that
result,
was
his car,
leaking?
yeah, he was leaking everywhere. I mean, he was making just puddles. His mom was so mad at
Yeah,
him.
but I saw
Yeah, he
his.
got that all straightened out. He was the
Yeah,
MVP of that weekend. He worked on the biggest project and the majority of it himself. He was amazing. And after that was done, then he was helping other people with his
yeah,
new
man.
knowledge. And yeah, he really absorbed, he soaked it up. So is it getting weirder or softer? I'd say it's probably getting a little softer because just it's broadening. There's more demand for these cars than there used to be, and it's just the general public is getting into them now. So I'd say yeah, a little softer.
Okay, I mean, I can take that. I saw him, and I saw his success, and I saw him, credit a few of the folks up there for that tech session, saying what he learned there. he applied and now he's not leaking, which was really cool. So yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, not a drop. I mean, when does that happen? Every Volkswagen is a little spot here and there, at least, not a drop.
Right. We
Not a drop.
we say we're just marking our territory.
Right. I mean, that's one of the reasons for the name. I mean, oil slickers, eh?
Yeah.
It was just, we had to choose that. We make spots, we do. And the guy I just helped yesterday, actually, he was wearing an oil slicker shirt. He had a sticker on his car, and his car is over here right now. The oil cooler burst on it. So he just had a puddle on the ground underneath it where it was idling for a minute because he couldn't even get it started. I solved that problem. It was just low on gas. And just a puddle was amazing. And some lady came up and looked at the stain, looked at his shirt, and went, "Oh."
That's great.
It was just totally fitting opportunity, and I wish I had cameras on us at that moment. It would have just been yeah, it was one of those ones you had to have been there.
How much of your personality online is the real Glenn versus maybe this amplified Duckman chaos?
Well, I get asked that a lot actually, and the people that do get to meet me in person, they think I'm going to be crazy, climb up the walls kind of guy. They also think I'm a lot shorter than what I am. I'm 6'3", not 5'5", like some people always think I'm little for some reason. But I'm pretty much the same person, but on videos, I think I take more chances. Take a lot more chances. I make a lot more mistakes, but when the mistakes are really big or they look just absolutely dangerous, I don't want to have other people do or copy what I'm doing. So that's where editing comes into play.
Wise.
So I tone it back a little bit, or I say, don't do this, and then I show. But whenever I turn the camera off is always when the good stuff happens anyway. So I try to leave it on always and do the best that I can. But yeah, otherwise, real life doesn't allow you so many do-overs. So you do the best you can with what you got again. And that's what I do here. But yeah, am I pretty much the same person? Yeah, for the most part. I'm just a little noisier on camera, and I'm bolder and I speak like this. I don't do that in person.
Okay. What was your life like before Volkswagens maybe completely consumed you?
Well, that's a hard question because Volkswagens have always been a part of my life since I was just a wee little guy.
Okay.
My first picture that I have of myself sitting on my father's lap in his Beetle, looking over the steering wheel. He wasn't driving it, by the way, and it had the stencil on the door of his auto body shop that he had at the time. And they've always been in my life. Even after my parents got divorced, my mom's boyfriend had a Volkswagen, and then the stepfather had a Volkswagen. So, I mean, they were always there. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were just always there. So I said, Mom, I think you have a type. Not so much me growing up with the Volkswagen. I said, you have the type. Anyway, she thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, the Volkswagens have always been in my life. But when Volkswagens are absent from my life, it was always computers, technology, motorcycles, and, well, women.
Okay.
Got a date.
Yeah, got it. Fair enough. What was your first Volkswagen outside of your family? Like the first one you actually purchased and or acquired?
First month was mine. Was 18 years old. It was a 1969 Volkswagen Beetle. It was gray, kind of a silver gray. It was probably just really oxidized silver, and it ran. It was a single port 1500. Floors were gone, heater channels were mostly gone. And Dad, being a seasoned auto body guy, was going to help me with a lot of the metal work. And he got the floors pretty much together. And in hindsight, I probably should have ran with it from that point. I probably could have started driving it. But he really wanted to paint it up. But the both of us kind of got a little fatigued on the project, and it ended up sitting for a little while. And then career choices came, and things happened, and couldn't necessarily get back to it until finally I got settled. I got a house, and I had a job in one location rather than bouncing all over the country. But yeah, the first one was a 69 Beetle. And when I sold it, I put all the original parts back on it. And anything that I bought that was new or unused went onto the oval that I have today, 30 years later. So
Wow.
yeah, I kept all those parts because, the prices of these things just skyrocket. Like those super wide fiberglass fenders on there. Do you see what those cost nowadays?
I
It's
do.
like $2,500 for the set. And I
Yeah.
think then I spent $500 on a set. So
Wow.
I stole them. There was something I was just glad I didn't fling them or send them off with the car. Especially since the guy was just gonna turn it into a Manx anyway, so he was scrapping the body. So I was like, oh, couldn't do that. But
So
yep, first one was a 69, and some of that DNA still lives on in the 56.
yeah. So let's talk about Beatles for just a second. Let's touch on them. Why do you think that Beatles actually hook? people so hard emotionally?
Well, the American public is very car centric. People are drawn to automobiles here. Probably not so much in other countries, but right here, we love our cars. And people's cars usually reflect their personalities. And we get back to that whole eccentric and Volkswagens, people being weird and different, and that's what Volkswagens are. So for somebody to be weird and attracted to something that's so unique and so special, it becomes a very emotional attachment. You love it, and it becomes a possession, not just a possession, but part of your character, your persona. And to
Yeah.
let it go is extremely hard for some people. And I know I've acquired some cars over the years that belong to people that they were emotionally attached to. And one such girl I had bought one from, she and her father were working onto there, couldn't finish it because he passed away. And to her, it was just a huge deal to get that car back up on the road. She wanted to see it running and driving just so she could sit in it. She was just, yeah, it was part of her life and part of her person. And yeah, like I said, it's a
Part
very
of,
emotional thing.
yeah, part of her
And
identity.
it was, and I mean,
Yeah.
these cars very much are. And I feel so weird when I get in a Nissan or something. I have a Nissan, and honestly, I haven't driven it in a year because I'd rather be in the Volkswagens, and I have more Volkswagens. And honestly, when the Nissan breaks, which is broken right now, the Volkswagen is the parts getter. You never think of it that way. Usually, it's the modern cars. No, no, no. The Volkswagen's the parts getter. The Volkswagens have been more reliable. But yeah, I think that's why we hook up with these things emotionally. They become very much a part of our lives and our identities, and it becomes a member of the family.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not just a car.
Well said. Super, super cool. And I agree with you. I agree with you. I've had several, and I feel the same way. Some of them I've even let go, and I still miss them uh,
Yeah.
to this day. So let's touch on fabrication for a second. When did, your dad had a body shop, and it sounds like you've kind of always been kind of good at that side of it. But I guess in your more or less late teens or your adult life, when did fabrication really start to become kind of second nature for you?
Well, it did all the way back even when I was just a kid. Despite having come from a family with money, nothing much was handed to me. The family was just, I don't know, maybe they gave me a school of hard knocks and they wanted me to be somebody of my own, be my own person. So I was never given very much. So if I wanted something, I either had to acquire money to buy it, or I had to work to acquire the knowledge and skills to build it.
Okay.
And I found that building was more interesting because I could make something that you can't buy, something better or something otherwise. And I always took that step outside that box or outside those boundaries. And if I did buy something, maybe I'll buy that cheaper model because I can make it better than the better model. So there's always some things that I did with that. So it always came second nature to me. It's just I always liked tinkering. I always liked playing with things. And when I started finding that Dad had a toolbox with stuff I can get into, and I still have all of his vintage tools today. So many people tell me, throw all that stuff away after Dad passed. I'm like, do you know how much those tools are worth? And the quality of these things? I said, my Craftsman tools, they might have a lifetime warranty on it, but every time it breaks, I got to replace it. His
Right.
tools are older than I am and they don't break.
Wow.
They're fantastic pieces. And I said, I'm not letting that stuff go. In fact, I can't wait to have a shop space so I can put all that stuff in there and actually utilize it without it being buried in a one-car garage.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it always came second nature. And I like tinkering. I just really like tinkering.
I've got a son that likes tinkering, and I'd like to say maybe hopefully one day he'll have the same conversation with somebody and he'll say that it's always been second nature for him. This was the guy that was taking apart stuff, 5, 6 years old. Dad, can I borrow, your screwdriver or your tools, or how do I get this
Hmm.
apart? Or he was always, coming to me trying to get stuff taken apart. And then, he'd always come back to me and be like, well, kind of got myself into this, what do I do now? I'm like, look, I don't have the mechanical mind like you do, my friend. Okay. So I don't know. But
That's
figure it out. And he would, and he still does. He's 17 now and he figures shit out. It's so cool to see. So
that's awesome and very relatable.
yeah, I bet that's why I brought it up for sure.
Yeah, when I was talking to my mom on Mother's Day, she was actually discussing with me about how she used to go in my closet as a kid and she'd find something I had been missing for months disassembled. And all the good stuff that was taken out of it was used for something else because I built something else out of it. So I was always in trouble for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
But
So was my son, for sure. Kind of cool how that works. He actually is also the one that is interested in helping with, wrenching on Volkswagens when we get that opportunity to do some work. Um,
Awesome.
Stayed up late nights before, and gets right down and gets on his back and gets underneath them and just starts working. So yeah, man, cool kid. Um, let's touch on the Duckman cycles and VW Garage. I'm interested just to hear, how did this concept, maybe even, the name, how did it all start?
Well, I have several YouTube channels. The first one started out as just a personal blog kind of thing, just doing a
Right.
little bit of this and that around Pensacola, and occasionally I'd work on my motorcycle, occasionally I'd work on this or that. And this was at a time where I had a small absence from Volkswagens. There was about a 2 or 3 year period I didn't have one at all. And at the time, I had lots of motorcycles. And I started taking apart my motorcycles, doing an upgrade on this, a brake swap, a new chain and sprockets. And I started making videos of that. And I noticed those videos were getting way more views. So we started up a new channel called Duckman Cycles. And on the Duckman Cycles thing, all of a sudden I got a new Volkswagen, so I started doing some Volkswagen videos, and I noticed those got better views than the motorcycle stuff. And being back in the Volkswagen world, which was my heart and passion anyway, I started doing a lot more of that stuff, and you see it's taken off over the years. Um, those videos of motorcycle content, I still do some motorcycle stuff once in a while. I keep the personal blog stuff to like visiting tech sessions, car shows,
Yeah, yeah.
anything I might be doing around the house. If I'm doing some plumbing work or something, I might show that. That kind of stuff doesn't come up too often anymore. Most things around here work pretty good. But yeah, that's pretty much how it started, and that's where it came to be. And almost 92,000 subscribers later on the biggest channel, it's doing pretty good. Cumulatively across all my channels, like 130, 140,000. I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so.
Yeah, doing all right.
You had mentioned earlier that, maybe uh Chevy and Ford guys would kind of beat you up, but bring me back to the early YouTube days, because that's, I mean, even before, before we even really knew YouTube was going to become something.
Yeah.
Were people brutal to you, or were they more supportive to you in your vision?
In the earlier days, people were very, very supportive. The community was small. It was
Right.
much smaller. We were a bunch of, like Volkswagen people, we were eccentrics, people that wanted to talk about our lives. And that was considered almost kind of weird at the time because it wasn't so mainstream. Not everybody was doing it.
Especially on
Um,
video, right? I mean, the community, I think
right, video.
community. I remember back to the 90s, mid 90s, going to Bug Jam and everything. The community was still the community. My first Beetle was 17 years old, fresh out of high school. I knew the community was something back then. But yeah, no, the community for sure, but on film is kind of where this really kind of
Yeah.
thing ties in.
Yeah, things are different. People at previous to that were doing typed out blogs. They actually type out a message, take a picture of something, and maybe once in a while it appear in a selfie, and they weren't even called selfies yet.
Right.
So that
Right.
was earlier in days. And then, of course, video vlogging came about, and YouTube started its thing. And back in the early days, 10,000 subscribers was considered a lot. And even to have a one video with a few hundred views was considered good.
Right.
It was kind of an amazing thing. But back in the day, people were very supportive. We had this thing called subs for subs. I don't know if you remember that, if you were around for the day. But if you subscribed to me, I subscribed to you. We were very supportive of each other's community and commented on each other's videos and tried to boost ourselves, propel ourselves, even if it was manipulated. We tried to give ourselves some better numbers, and effectively, it was good. I mean, that's how I got my first 1,000 subscribers, I think, in like 60 days or so, and that was kind of amazing for back in the day.
I mean, that sounds very VW community-ish as well, right? You
It
scrap
was, it was.
yours type.
Despite there being no videos for Volkswagens on my channel yet at that time, there was, yeah, it was very Volkswagen-ish. It had the same kind of feel.
Yeah. So for you, what was harder? The fabrication side, learning fabrication, or actually learning how to film yourself without, completely looking totally crazy?
I never worried about looking crazy.
Hey, you don't
I don't
say.
have that problem. Again, drawing attention to myself. This is what I'm good at. So I never worried about looking insane. That's probably where most of my ridicule comes from. If people don't understand my idea, they will criticize my unfinished product. And you can't criticize somebody's unfinished project without actually knowing what their direction is. And I can't give you my visual. Maybe I can draw it out or something, but even then, it's only as good as my artistic ability. But I might look like I'm crazy, probably because not just because I'm loud and I bounce around, but because you just don't know what I'm after. You don't know where I'm going with it. And I think that's probably direction, but I never worried about looking nuts because I always followed my projects through. Nothing's ever done. I like to say that nothing's ever finished. And I get that question probably once a week. Do you ever finish anything? No. No, I don't. Because if it's done, I'm just going to take something else on it apart anyway. And we're going to move on and make it bigger, better somehow. Something's going to change. So
Mhm.
yeah, I never worried about looking crazy. Never.
Modern creators, the newer YouTube folks, do they have it easier or do they have it harder than the original kind of OG YouTube builders?
Well, as far as the stigma is concerned and making the videos, they don't look as weird anymore doing this stuff. So it's probably a little easier for them to get started, but it's harder to get established. I'd say it's much, much harder to get established. Some people do have that magic, and the YouTube gods will just smile down upon them. And I don't know for what reason, but they'll end up with 100,000 subscribers in the first month. And their videos are exactly the same as mine. The only difference is it's a different face. Maybe they're prettier, maybe they're not. But for some reason they have, yeah, maybe something's different. I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe it's all in the algorithm. Maybe the computer chooses something. Maybe just it does what it does. But
Yeah,
it's hard to get noticed in a sea of just hundreds of millions of different folks now when it used to be tens of thousands
right, right.
to get noticed. So you really have to do something different. You really have to be bright, obnoxious, loud, and you got to have a hook. Something has to be unique that draws people into you. What's going to be different about you that stands out?
Yeah,
And I
good.
think for me, it's just this personality and the chickens and the ducks and that kind of stuff. It's fun.
Yeah,
And
it's
well, I think
unique.
it's a little
Definitely
harder.
unique. Definitely unique. They're not like any other video, any other people that you watch. You're definitely a one of a kind type guy.
I think it's one of the reasons why I have this success. And it also helps to have that hook. And then the hook in the past has been the ducks and the chickens. And it helps sometimes to have a pretty lady help you. And I'm not going to say that it's some kind of sexist remark or something. I protect those ladies that come on when people say the trashy comments to them. It's we might act trashy on camera, but we're not trashy people. It's a show. We're
Yeah,
putting on a
right.
show.
Right on. Speaking of the show, was there ever a time in over the last 20 some odd years that you maybe even considered stopping or quitting?
I have quit several times. In fact, when I had my last girlfriend around 10 years ago living here, I had no opportunity to make videos. Again, I don't sound sexist here, but when you live with somebody that breaks things constantly, you always find yourself repairing the plumbing, fixing the electrical, this appliance is busted, this needs doing. I was always around the house doing something that took my time, and I had to step away from YouTube for about 2.5 years or so. I still got up the occasional video, but stepping back was just something I had to do. Life just forced it. And more recently, after the drama from last year, I took a personal hit. It took my motivation away from me for a bit. And I'm not going to say that these other people that did that to me won, but I'm going to say they may have actually won a battle, but they didn't win the war. So
Okay.
despite having beaten me down a little bit, you did take something away from me. But I'm still making my videos and I'm trying to push back into it now. I have a backlog of a lot of things that are recorded. I just have to sit down at this desk and edit some of them to get them online. But we'll get to that point sometime soon. But yeah, I have stepped away, and like I said, this past year I've kind of stepped away. I'm not releasing things on schedule anymore. I was pretty good for about 2 videos a week, sometimes three. And now you're lucky if you get one a month, maybe one every 2 months.
How are the views because of that cadence change? Has the
They weakened.
did they? Okay.
Yeah, they've weakened, they've softened. And the other thing that's weird too is when I don't put up videos, I get more subscribers. When I put up a video, subscribers go backwards. So I don't understand that. Weird. Something in the algorithm is doing something. It's
Yeah.
really weird.
It's
I'll
almost
go up, every couple days it goes up, I don't know, 5, 10 subscribers. And then if I put out a video, it'll go negative 5, 10. But if I don't put out a video for months of plus 100, plus 200 subscribers, what is going on? I don't understand how that works.
yeah. Some things you're probably not going to be able to explain with the YouTube
Yeah, we'll
language.
never figure that one out.
Exactly. I still try to figure out for my podcast, for views and reach and trying to find the target audience, which is the VW community. But
Hmm.
I have seen, those ebbs and flows as well. And sometimes you're
Yeah.
on, sometimes your videos, even your smaller, kind of reels, if you will, end up, getting crazy traction, almost end up going viral, and you get tens of thousands of views. And then other times, the ones that you know for sure are going to be awesome and have the best knowledge and information and the coolest attraction and the coolest hook, they get 100 views, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, you
It
can't
makes
explain
no
this.
sense. I
It
don't
makes sense.
understand how any of that works. Like I
Yeah,
said, I'll put in some videos, and some of the videos I know are awful, but I put up a thumbnail with a girl in it. Boom! 10,000 views, like overnight. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a stupid video.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It really is.
Yeah,
One
it
thing I
makes
tell
no
you,
sense to me.
one thing I haven't done that I just won't do because this is a passion project for me, this podcast, is pay. I'm not going to pay for subscribers or pay for like marketing yet. I just don't see, maybe one day down the road if I get a sponsor that wants to, I don't see it as something being a passion project that I'm gonna, I guess essentially spend money on. I spend my time on it because I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to people
Hmm.
like you. I love the Volkswagen community. I enjoy that side of it. It's, a lot of people come into my email and say, "Hey man, with all of this stuff that you got going on for yourself, you could really turn this into a thriving, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, not interested, man. Not interested." And I mean,
I get that too.
a lot of people not, and they want to kind of ride the coattails, if you will. But no, I'm not interested.
Yeah, I get that very much too. All of my subscribers and my views have all happened organically. I
Yeah,
haven't bought them, well, except for the sub for some things in the very beginning. I mean, that was part of our community. We were helping each other.
yeah,
But
no,
after that, it has it's been very much an organic growth. I haven't advertised. I haven't told people I'm going to pay you to do this. I
yeah,
haven't needed it. I
yeah,
haven't needed it.
yeah.
And I have received offers over the years for this and that, and that's great because that is organic. It was brought to me. I didn't
Right.
go to get it. It
Yeah.
came to me, and this is one of the reasons why things have grown. And the same with Oil Slicker Society. I mean, I haven't paid for that. I haven't gone out to solicit, new members for our club. It just happens.
Yeah. I
Apparently,
mean,
you do the
hell,
right things, people notice you, and it happens.
that's how I found you. I found you from a couple posts, and I remember, several months ago, I commented on one of your posts. I'm like, hey, we got to get some of you oil slickers on the podcast. And I think that
I
was
appreciate that.
the first comment that you had sent back, that we had started that conversation. But yeah, no, I love the organic side of it, and I'm in tune. I'm right there. I'll be the same way.
Yeah,
Now
just
you're famous for turning quite literal garbage into usable VW parts. Where does kind of that mentality come from?
well, again, I wasn't given very much in the past, so I had to work or build for what I wanted. So my ability might even make me self-spoiled, perhaps. I take my abilities for granted. So that's why I like doing what I do. And I guess, I don't know, it's there. It's hard to explain when it's just something that's always been part of me. So
Right.
that's who I am. It's my
Yeah.
identity. I'm a tinkerer. I have these hands, and as long as I have my hands and my skill set, I can do anything. And I mean, I say anything. People say, "Well, you can't do that." I said, "I'll try." And I try to encourage people all the time. It's like, "Well, I don't know how to weld." I said, "There was a time I said that too. I still don't know how to weld, but I get it done.
Make it work.
I know how to run a grinder, so you can make anything work." But yeah, that's part of my mentality. It's part of my person. It's hard to explain your actual character and who you are as a person when it's just something that comes naturally.
What's one of the craziest like junkyard engineering type solutions that you've really ever actually made work?
Um, the ATVW is one of them.
Okay.
Everybody told me you can't get a hand clutch to work on a Volkswagen. Well, I did. I used a brake booster actually to make a motorcycle clutch work with it. So that was pretty clever and it was
Yeah.
functional. It still requires a good grip. If you're going to be in traffic, it's murder, absolute murder. But it does work, and you are able to shift it. I put the shifter on the right side on purpose because you have to grab the clutch to shift. Everybody told me put it on the other side. What, reach across? That doesn't make sense. Let off the throttle, shift, and then grab. So that worked out very, very well. Steering, no steering box. It actually works off the steering shaft on the handlebars, so that all worked out pretty good. Otherwise, traditionally, the rear end is just an IRS Beetle. It's all standard in the back. The shifter also comes out of the side of the tunnel at a 45-degree angle instead of coming out the top. And when it came out, I then bent a bus shift rod to get it up tall enough. So that way it worked out. So the shift pattern is standard, traditional. Everything works, even though it looks like it shouldn't. People can't wrap their brains around how that works. But
Yeah.
apparently, what I had done, a lot of the trike builders had actually done similar things in the past. So what I came up with wasn't a new idea. This is
Okay.
something they've done. Some of these guys do it at a 90-degree angle and the shifter still works. I thought that was fascinating too. But 45, and I got that going. One of the other ones was the chop top Beetle. when I got that car, I don't know if you saw the older pictures of it. It was just caving in on itself. And when I unbolted the steering column, the nose went whoop right up in the air. The steering column was holding the front end down. It was structural because it was so rusted.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was that bad. You could grab the door on the car and lift the entire body and twist the body in its position. It was the strangest thing to see that. It was just amazing that it was so bad. The A pillar above the driver's side was rotted through. And once I had opened the doors hit the ground and the body started to fold. So I actually just cut through the middle of the roof just to stop it from twisting up the body that much more. I was trying to save as much of it as possible, but it was destined for the scrapyard. But just to bring that thing back from death, which I get a lot of trash for. Why'd you ruin a good car? It's like it wasn't a good car. It was never a good car. I mean, it probably was before the hurricane got it. It was under 6 feet of seawater, by the way, for
Oh,
for
boy.
several days. And
Yeah.
then the guy put it out in the yard and left it outside for 10 years in the rain with all the salt water on it. So that's why it's so bad. It
Yeah.
was just really, really bad.
Dang.
But the other thing that worked out good on that was the hidden door hinges. There's no hinges on the outside. Beetle hinges are external. I put hidden hinges in pockets inside, and they opened frontwards. I didn't do suicide because everybody does those. So I put the suicide style hinges in the front. And that was an engineering piece because everybody told me it's not going to work. Oh, the door's going to open, it's going to hit the fender. Oh, the door's never going to clear this. They work brilliantly. And when I took it over to Earl over at Classic Car Creations, who did my paintwork, even he looked at it. He's like, you did a good job on that. It's like, thanks. I've never done it before. It took me 2 weeks to get the first side working and then one day to do the other side. So you get that practice side out. I got the format figured out, and then I made a 1 day video. I recorded. It's about 8 hours in, and just as it was getting dark, I had the hinges working.
Wow. Cool, man.
So that worked out pretty good. And
You
I also have a CR500 Honda two-stroke motorcycle I've been working on. I put that engine into an SV650 frame, which was kind of cool. But then I realized the frame's kind of big, heavy, bulky. It was designed for, a twin cylinder, four-stroke, water-cooled engine, just a much bigger, heavier chassis. And I said, I want to build something smaller and lighter. So I ended up getting a CR 250 dirt bike frame and put sport bike suspension on it. So that thing's going to be pretty good whenever I decide to finish that up. I've kind of let that on park for a long time. It's one of my oldest projects, one of the ones I started on YouTube, really digging into things. This goes back probably about 15 years ago.
wow.
So it's one of the oldest projects that I've been working on. So someday I'll get around to that. But yeah, it's you kickstart it and then bring ding 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 ding, two-stroke, one cylinder, blows out smoke out the back of it. And when I was riding a lot with a bunch of other guys, I was hoping to get out on the road with all the sport bikes and stuff, showing them up with a little motorcycle that weighs, 200 pounds, I think is the weight nothing. Go out in the little twisties, which there aren't very many of in Florida, but show them up, which I do on the Ninja 250 too. But I can't imagine what it'd be like with 50 horsepower instead of the 25.
Dude.
So
Right.
would have been impressive.
Yeah. Hold
I've
on.
also got a little doodle bug. You know what doodle bug is?
No.
A little Coleman doodle bug. It's a kid's bike. They're about this big. That's it. They have this balloony tires on them. I
So
put
hold
a
on.
200.
So the Coleman, like the campsite little bikes?
Yeah, kind of. Usually kids
Yeah.
go on them though. They're really small.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Coleman
I
one you
see
might
that.
be thinking of is the adult one. This is the kids one. I mean, it's literally this big. I don't
Dude.
know if you can see my hands on camera. It's this big. So I put a Honda 200cc engine into it, and instead of the I think 2 horsepower that it has now, it has like 12. And because it's so short and I'm so tall, I sit off the back of it anyway. So you just give it a light blip on the throttle, wheelie instantly. And I think they max out with kit on it, like 10 or 15 miles an hour governed. If you take the governor off, you might get 25. But I hit almost 60 miles an hour on it, and I was afraid to go any faster because the brakes are meant for a child. It's doing
Dude.
low speed, not a 300 pounder going 60 miles an hour.
Dude.
So anyway, I ran out of road because it is only 200cc. It takes a lot more road to get up to speed. But I mean, that is just intensely fast on a little bike that's smaller and lighter than I am.
Holy
So
nuts. I can
that
envision
that
that.
it's
Whoa.
a lot of fun though, because it's so small and it's so easy to toss around. I could ride it in my little front yard and not ever go in the street. Pull the wheelies up the hill. I mean, it'll do burnouts because it's so small and it's so much fun. And if you fall, you're already so close to the ground that you just put your hand down. You don't actually hurt yourself.
Well, going that fast though. I mean, you're probably gonna
Oh,
be,
well, at speed, yeah, that's a different
yeah.
story. I was fully geared up for that. I mean, knee pads, shoulder pads. I was wearing armor, helmet. I
Oh
was
yeah.
fully geared up. Gloves, yeah, I was geared because those tires that were on there had been sitting out in the weather for a long time and they were very iffy. So don't copy what the Duckman does.
I was gonna say
Don't.
safety first, kids. Safety first. So let's talk about being resourceful because I think
Yes.
it's a lost skill. Do you agree? Do you think being resourceful is actually becoming a lost skill?
Um, I'd say yeah, especially with the advent of AI. Although I suppose AI could be a resource, but if you're using AI, and I just had a conversation with somebody about this just yesterday. Um, People are using AI for so much of everything anymore that they're just not using their own creative minds or using their own hearts to put stories out on Facebook. It's just for example. Now, I don't mind using an AI artwork because if you want to create a banner or something, that takes time and there's a lot of work that goes into that. But one of the reasons mine looks a little better, and I'm going to give you a hint, guys, is I actually draw the banner out first, then I give it to the AI and tell it what I want it to do. So then I get an actual what you're looking for instead of something that's so
Marginal.
you get a lot better. But yeah, people aren't so resourceful anymore. They're not using the tools that they have. Um, no, they're relying too much on technology to give them the answer. And I think a lot of people, and this isn't just Volkswagen stuff, people want to put their key in their car, start it, and go. And I think they don't even put the key in the car anymore. Now it's just put the key in your pocket and go. But yeah, the resources, it's just not there. People just want things to work. They replace things that break. They don't look into this stuff anymore. And it's actually related to AI, it just came to mind. It's not even in my notes here. A friend of mine was setting the end play on his engine.
Mhm.
And you put the three shims in there. It can be anything three or more. You can't go less than three. So he figured out using math to come up with the shims, and he says, I don't think that's right. So he went to an AI, and the AI confirmed he was right. I said, okay, what's wrong? He says, the engine doesn't turn. I said, so it's locked tight when you tighten up your gland nut. He says, yeah. I said, well, your shims are too tall. He says, but I did the math on it, and the AI confirmed it. I said, stop for a second. I said, how many of these cranks have you set end play on? Zero. It's his first one. I said, good, okay. I said, and how many has ChatGPT set the end play on? He looked at me. He didn't know how to answer that. I said, well, has ChatGPT ever been in anybody's garage setting the end play? He says, no. I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I said, take the crank off, take your shims out. And I looked at the shims. He had uh, two of the thicker ones, one of the thin ones. I don't remember what the specs were on it. But I said, okay, take one of the thick ones out. Let's put two thin ones, one thick one, bolt it all back together. Put it all together, measured the end play. It was perfect. And he said, how did you do that? I said, it's intuitive. I've been doing this over the years. I didn't have to measure it, and I knew the fact that you were locked up, so let's go one thinner and see what happens. It's that simple. So resourcefulness, AI is not what you're looking for an answer most of the time. If
Mhm.
you needed to communicate an idea or just to bounce things off of somebody because a human's not available, or maybe you're too shy to talk to another person for being ridiculed, maybe an AI is a good tool for that. And I do sometimes use AI for that. I've got this. What do you think of this? Is this going to be something that's a valid idea? Is this garbage? You know, I have trouble with empathy sometimes. I'm broken that way. I don't have a personality for that. My personality is machines and animals. Empathy for me doesn't work the same way as other people. So I've learned what I'm supposed to do and what I'm supposed to feel, but I don't necessarily have that. So I don't understand these things. So I will talk to an AI sometimes about how to approach people. So I don't say the wrong words. It also doesn't help that I'm from New Jersey. So I'm one of those guys, so, so an AI sometimes is how I use confrontation because I'm not afraid of confrontation. I'm not afraid of talking in front of other people. Sometimes I just need to know the right words to use so I don't say the wrong things that rub people the wrong way because I do live in the South now and I'm not from where I'm from. And being a different personality, not being afraid of words, these things don't hurt me because I don't experience that. So I don't have that feeling the way other people do. So the empathy is not there. So I do have some trouble with that, me as a person, but that's getting personal. But nonetheless, there it is. So yeah, resourcefulness. Uh, AIs, use them sparingly. It's a tool. But like any other tool, you can't use it too much. You can't go through the garage and use a hammer on everything. You know what I mean? I mean, you
Yeah.
kind of could,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
your
good.
result's not going to be great.
That was a good quote. I like that. And it's true. You can't use AI for everything. And I can even, put it over to, the realm of my professional career, which my wife and I own a real estate company here in St. Pete, but I've been a sales trainer for 15 years. And inside of training, it's become very easy to say, here's what I'm looking for. go, right? And then AI spits out this, beautiful outline and makes it so easy, I guess, right? But here's what I notice.
Uh-huh.
When you take a lot of that human element away, you're not as impactful,
Yep. You're
period.
absolutely correct.
You're just not as impactful. So
Absolutely correct.
it's good. You might even get good reviews, and you might even hear, from some of these, tech managers that I work with, hey man, that was a really good session. But I feel that it's not as impactful as the stuff that I come up with based on my experience, based on my suspicion, based on what I know these guys,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
based on my experience. So yeah, the same analogy. You can't just, run through the garage and use a hammer on everything. So yeah,
No,
man,
you can't. You
that was
can't.
that
And
was
as
great.
I've discovered with this AI too, is I can tell when people are using it. I don't
Yeah.
know if you can notice it. I can tell. And there's only so many AIs out there that do creative content. Maybe a dozen really good ones that people are use every day. And the trouble is they always use the same words. They always use the same phrases. They always use the same style punctuation.
They
And
do.
it's punctuation that people don't type. It's not on your keyboard. And
Right.
they're using this punctuation. So when you see
Ah,
that, it's
hey,
like, that's AI.
good call. Good call.
It's AI. I can tell you're using AI. And if you can't speak about your event or the things that you're doing from your own heart,
Right.
then it's not yours anymore. Now you have an AI doing it. The AI
Hey,
is
amen.
your reporter, your news reporter on,
You
and
said it best. It's a tool.
it's so fake. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
a
fake
tool.
when they do that.
It's
And I use my own creative content because you hear me, I'm running my mouth. I do this constantly. I
right.
can get on the keyboard and do the same thing. I can just start whacking on these keys right here
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just give a long string of information.
Right.
And when I do that, I might send it to an AI for some spell check, and then it likes to change to its punctuation, which kills me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you're changing the style of my writing. This is not me. Let me do it my way. So anyway, I'll do it for a spell check or something, or if I phrase something incorrectly, or if I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, I make sure the AI gets a look at this and tells me, maybe you need to make an adjustment on that. I will use it for that. But creative content, I create my own content. And that includes the artwork. I might use the AI to embellish it, to
Right.
polish it up,
Right.
but I don't use it to create my artwork exclusively.
Right.
It's mostly my stuff, and like I said, just rubbed and polished a little bit to make it look better. And honestly, AI does a pretty good job of that sometimes because I can give it the most stick figure drawings, and it can make a you and me out of it, which is just amazing.
Yeah,
But
it
the
is.
reason why they're structured and look correctly, and the cars are facing the right way is because I drew them out.
Yeah, and I can talk on the amazing because I'm definitely one of those guys that will lean into technology. On the technology side, and kind of the it's cool side and leaning into AI. I recently asked uh my favorite color is green, and my wife and I have a 71 Karmann Ghia that we wanted to, I guess have a little bit of fun with. I've done some of the rust. I fixed a lot of the rust. We're going to talk about rust here in a second, but I fixed a lot of the rust. I don't like the trim, the chrome or the aluminum piece of trim on the bottom of those
The
Karmann
two
Ghias.
pieces,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like it when it's flat. Well,
Hmm.
last year and a half or so ago, my son ran into the car with the lawnmower
Oh
and
no.
yeah, and backed up, bashed up one of those pieces of trim and dented the car back there. So I ended up taking the trim off, and there's this little hole that was exposed. And I was,
Hmm.
I'm gonna rip all the fucking trim off this thing. So I ripped all the trim off, and I'm like, oh, dude, now I'm stuck with all these holes. So I brought it to a body shop, somebody that's familiar with Volkswagens, and I had all those not bondoed, I had them all welded, and I had them all closed and done properly.
Hmm.
And then they painted. So now the whole bottom of the car, well, it used to be this beautiful, forest green paint, new bumpers. It was a great looking car. Now it's nice looking paint up top, primered on the bottom, and rust repair
Hmm.
fixed. My wife started saying up through a year ago, I don't even want to be seen in the damn thing. I think it looks like shit. I'm
Oh
like,
no.
yeah, I'm like, okay, well let's get it painted then. So we started looking into that, and then she's like, no, let's wrap it. Let's wrap it for our brand. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
that'd be kind of cool. Let's look into wrapping it, dude. I went to
Hmm.
a couple different wrap shops. They went over $5,000 for
Oh
this.
yeah. Yeah, it's expensive.
I'm like,
You
hold
can pay
on a
paint
minute.
for that.
Exactly. That was my point.
Yep.
So we kept, kind of tinkering with what we were going to do. Anyway, I'll make my point. We lean into AI. All right. So I uploaded a picture, a cool picture of my car in front of a mural. There's murals all over St. Pete. I take pictures with my cars in front of murals, big, huge murals on the side of these buildings. They're so cool looking. And I said, create a futuristic paint job out of 5 different colors of green and, kind of give us this like comic book slash cartoons style image. And dude, it spit out this ridiculous, crazy ass paint job that was the coolest thing ever that I ended up
Yeah.
sending to my friend. I don't know if you saw any of my posts, but I ended up sending it to my buddy Matt McAllister down south. And I said, hey, what you think of this, man? He goes, dude, I can do that. I'm like,
Oh, nice.
no shit. This is the car in front of a mural.
Oh, wow. That's what I visually imagined too, which is what's crazy.
And
All right.
and I actually
Like a
have
Mountain Dew.
I have those wheels. Those are the Porsche the phone dials. I've got them in. I bought 4 fronts, so I got the 15x7 because the eights are wider in the rear on the Karmann Ghia is tough to fit without fabrication. So plus I have the wheel spacers to adapt the lug pattern. So I had to go 15x7 all the way around. So I've got those wheels on it too. But anyway, there's that. Okay. Now check this out.
I'm cheating looking on your Facebook here. I
Okay.
see this is actually underway, isn't it?
It's underway, man.
Excellent.
He's down in the key,
Wow, look at this.
but this is
There it is. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
as he's putting it
Amazing.
together. And then I'll show
It
you.
makes me want to drink a Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Here's a reprint. He's got all the line
That's
work,
what I'm looking at right now.
all the
Excellent.
line work
Wow.
starting to come in. And then let's see,
Carmageddon, huh?
Carmageddon. That's what I named it.
Carmageddon. Nice.
Yeah, Carmageddon. It's instead of Karmann Ghia and instead of Armageddon, because the paint job was just so fucking nuts and out there. I'm like, you know what? Armageddon, Karma Ghia, Karma. How about Carmageddon? Yeah,
It's nice when those names happen organically. Just like other things happen organically, these names
yeah,
just happen.
yeah.
And whether it be my cars or whether it be my chickens, I just let the names just happen. Everybody always asks, what are you going to name it? I'm like, I'll wait till it happens. And you know when you get the right one. And if you name it, the right one always comes later. And you're like,
I
I should have. Yeah. Well,
Carmageddon fits though, and we
it
this
does. It does. And you picked the right one, I think.
yeah, she's had it for a couple of years, several years now, in fact. And she named it Cleopatra at first because it was like this emerald green, kind of a deeper green. The original color on the car from '71 was Irish green. So it had
Hmm.
gotten this kind of deeper, more of a little bit more of a glossier, deeper paint job. Um,
Hmm.
but once I got the rust fixed and everything, no, we went full on completely nuts with it. So now, yeah, now Carmageddon is the name now. We've retired Cleopatra.
It's sharp, and I mean he's not even done yet, and he's really got something there. I can't wait to see what it turns into.
Yeah, man.
That is really nice.
Yeah, yeah. I figured you'd like that. So talking about leaning in to AI, that AI concept was actually designed by who the fuck knows? You know what I
A
mean?
computer, an
Right,
algorithm.
right. But I ran with it, and so did Matt. And he's doing a really killer job. But anyway, all right, let's get back to this. Let's talk about Rust. Why?
Rust.
Yeah, why are Volkswagen people so attached to Rust?
Um, I'm not. I'm
Okay,
not. I like things shiny.
okay,
I suppose the rust that I'm attached to is that project car, and maybe
okay.
that's the way I look at it. But the rust quickly gets cleaned, removed, or patched up, and then of course, glossy coat is put over it. Maybe I was raised that way. My dad just didn't like rust on cars either. He'd see patina cars, and it would really bother him. Now I see patina cars, I think it's really cool,
Right.
especially for the car to show its war wounds and those scars for all those years that it's had, and each one has a story. And my dad didn't appreciate that, but I do. But I don't think I would have a patinaed car or a rat rod. It's just not my style, not my thing. So I'm not necessarily attracted to that. But why are people attracted to it? These Volkswagens were throwaway cars. I hate to say that in either way, but they were budget throwaway cars and they were treated as such. So these cars have a lot of wounds. They have a lot to show for all these years, and I think that there's not too many other American cars that are remaining that have quite the same amount of, disrespect given to them that turn into character.
Right.
That's probably
Right.
the best way. Just maltreatment, just lack of attention. And they're still around. These cars are still here. You don't see the patina on these old American cars quite so much.
Right.
These Volkswagens are the ones that have it. So I think it might be even our thing. This might be ours, the Volkswagen community thing, but maybe I can't really speak for others. I'm just spitballing that one. But yeah, I'm not attracted to rust necessarily,
I think
unless it's
I think
a
it's become
project.
I think it's become very popular. Especially
It
even
has.
because shiny was cool, in the 80s into the 90s, the hot pinks and the purples and the bright kind of themes,
Yep.
into the early 90s,
Yep.
the whole that
Neon colors.
yeah, neon colors, that was all kind of really popular. Rust, patina, really really wasn't a thing. When I got back into the Volkswagen community in early like 2018, 2019, right before COVID, when I had got back into it.
Hmm.
It was after, raising my kids and probably taking a good 12 to almost probably 15-year hiatus. I had noticed when I got back into it that the patina and the rust was like now this new kind of celebrated badge of almost of honor
I'll
inside the
call it that.
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even going to the shows and stuff, I'm like, at first it kind of hit me and I'm like, why why are we celebrating this beat up, like what happened to shiny and cool and restored and lustrous and all that. But the more I saw it, and like you said it perfect, the more I saw it, I kind of started to respect it as this kind of badge of honor,
Hmm.
this war scars, this, we look how much this community, these cars have been through, look how much they're worth now, look how much it's celebrated.
Hmm.
And to be honest, brother, I started even saying myself, shit, I I might want a patina car. I mean, it started actually becoming a little bit more attractive to me. So when I thought about this outline and thought about your projects and thought about all the shit you tinker with, I thought you could definitely talk on why people, especially the Volkswagen community, are maybe more emotionally attached to patina or to rust. Respectfully, I respect that you're not into it yourself, but I love what you said. Because we do celebrate, the war scars and the badge of
Hmm.
honor, and I think that we as a community are proud of that. And I do. I think it's character, it's
Yeah.
personality.
Personal.
Yeah, these
Exactly.
these cars are all very, very personal. They're very fine, intricate details. Every freaking one is just a little tiny bit different. And and even in the patina patterns are different. The rust pattern
Yes.
is different. It's just it really becomes this kind of whole thing. And I agree with you. And maybe it is just us. I've seen, some other car cultures have to airbrush, rust. They got it over the top of a beautifully restored, body, but then it looks like it's rusty and shit. And from a distance, you're like, oh, look.
Yeah.
And then you get up to it and you're like, well, hold on a minute, man.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, right, right, right.
I got a friend's Beetle that's like that. They polished as much of the steel as they could, so it had swirl marks in the steel. Some of the rust got through in a couple spots because I guess they didn't attack it as attentively as they should have. So it's just clear coated over that. And like I said, when you get up to it, it's like, wow, it looks pretty cool. You get up too close to it, and you're like, ugh. That wasn't very well done.
Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha.
It's probably one of the ugliest cars in town. In fact, he won an ugliest car trophy at one of our car shows a few years back.
I
I mean,
think
there
you're
was just no
worthy.
car that was uglier. We were all looking at that one. And we were just like, oh my God.
That's
It was just
what
so bad.
that's what the patinas
I'll
do.
send you pictures of that one too. It's just awful.
Please
Even
do.
whenever I put it on my YouTube channel, people are always like, "What is that?"
Yeah, cool. Kind of cool.
And it looks even worse now because he's just beat it up over the years.
Let's touch on the chop top. Let's get
Chop
some.
top.
Let's talk
All
some
right.
on the chop top. When did I guess this vision for this car first hit you? Tell me this. Back me up. Tell me the whole story.
Well, I always wanted a Beetle, as you know. And when I got my first one when I was 18 years old, I was very proud of that car, and I knew I was going to be cutting it up to repair all the rust and problems that it had. But I went to some just random car show, and this was in Fort Myers. I used to live down there. And in Fort Myers, they had this just cars and motorcycles. It was, I don't even remember where it was. It was just stuff. Anybody could bring anything. And some woman rolled in a chop top Beetle. It's the first time I had ever seen one. I didn't know that a car could look like that. I thought it came that way. I'm like, Dad, when did they make these? And my dad's like, that's a chop top. Somebody built that. And I had no idea that such a thing could even be done. I just, my mind hadn't opened up to that idea yet. I said, that's what I want. And my dad went, not to a Beetle. Like, why? He says, because all those curves and all those shapes, it's going to be the hardest one to cut. And he says, I'm just not interested. This is a seasoned body guy that had been doing body, 40 years. He's
Wow.
like, I don't want to touch that. He says, I'm not interested. It's too hard. I said, well, what if I bought a welder and I started cutting? He says, you'll never finish it. And he's probably right. 18 years old, I wouldn't finish it because I didn't finish the car ultimately because we both moved on with our lives, did other things. But yeah, that was when I first had the vision for it. And as you know, I ended up selling that car and I pulled the parts off of it. And then I ended up buying a 69 and a 73 up here years later. We're talking 15 years ago. And I had those two cars and I'm like, I want to chop one of them, but they're in too good a shape. They had some floor pan problems, but that's not body problems. If the body were just collapsing, that's the project I'm looking for. I said, I really want an oval. I said, all right, well, I'm going to take the saw to this 69 Beetle. We're just going to cut it up. And then on Craigslist, that same night, I saw an ad for an oval. Just down the street from here, right across the street from a Walmart, there's this oval sitting over there, and the guy's looking to scrap it. He wanted like 3,500 bucks for it, and I'm like, that's not worth $3,500. I mean, the cars, was just everything was just caving in on it. The doors were shaking, the whole body was just twisting. I said,
Wow.
there's no way it's worth that much. There's not that much there. I mean, this is spare parts for another project. You'd have to make everything to hold your spare parts together. He knew that. And he liked me. He took a liking to me and he liked my vision. And he says, I want you to have this car. And we worked out a really good deal. So much of a good deal, in fact. He gave me the car, 3 floor pans with it, a couple extra engines. He just said, clear my yard of all the Volkswagen stuff that you see. He says, I got to get it out of here. This is why I'm scrapping everything. I was like, okay. So we took the Beetle off of his trailer because it was going to go to the scrap yard that day. He says, I had given up selling it. And I came home and I looked at it and I said, this is the one. This is the one. We're going to cut this one. And I made the first video of me cutting it apart. And I caught a lot of hell about it, but nobody understood just how bad it was. I had to shake that door. The door would literally do this. You could just lift it up and down.
Nuts.
It was like a Lamborghini door. It didn't mean to be, but it would just fall right up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I knew that was the one. I had the vision and I said, we're going to cut this one. And my um, thoughts changed a little bit. I wanted a slightly different style. I didn't want to just lower the lid. And I have been studying roof chops for over all these years. I even made a few model cars to understand the shapes and intricacies of how I wanted to cut this thing. And everybody told me you have to cut it into 6 pieces or 8 pieces. You got to section that roof and this and that. I said, no, you don't. I said, it's not going to look right. I said, look at that one. That one's been sectioned. That car's flat. Everything's goofy looking. It's all spread out. It doesn't look right. That natural curve, that bubble is gone. And
Right.
somebody says, section it and then put a bubble on it. I said, well, then your roof gutters look straight. You get this dome out the top of it, and it looks like the top of my bald head. I said, that don't look right either. I said, that's no good. So I decided I'm going to do this with one roof. And Eric Fernan, you know Eric?
No.
He's one you need to interview too. He had a whole chop top Beetle that he had built 10 plus years ago on Volkswagens.com, I guess it was. I think they're still around. They have a forum, and he just documented his entire project from start to finish. And I looked at the way he cut his roof, and he didn't section the roof. He actually took the roof and cut it diagonally from the back windows down under the deck lid and pushed the whole roof forwards. And I said, I like what he did there. So I'm going to base some of what I'm doing on that and then spread the pillars out instead and do all the little intricacies in the pillars to make the pillars open up so that natural roof is there. But when I do this natural roof, I want to tip it forward just a little bit on the front, bring this down. So the windshield is actually only about that tall.
Ooh.
And it got a lot smaller than it would have been otherwise. Otherwise, it might have been like that. And the back windows look a little bigger as a result, but it gives it that aggressive stance. It's leaning forwards, and she just looks angry. So I
Ooh.
put a little duct tape on the headlights just to give a little, angry eyes, and eyebrows kind of slanting down on her. But that was the vision I went with, and I ran with it. And I used one roof with a couple small slivers from a this and a that, because remember, I did have to cut that roof in half when the car broke. So I had to graft it back together and I had to extend it about that much in the middle just to give it a little bit more reach so I could get that natural curve and the natural slope was there. And when I brought it to Earl over at Classic Car Creations, and he had it for I think about 2.5 years while he was doing the paint and the work on it, because
Wow.
paint work will shrink. So he did all the fill in all these places because being a chop top, there's all this and that, there's welding scars, and he had to do a little bit of this and that to it. And if you start putting filler on things, it has what he calls dieback or shrink. So if you immediately paint over it, your paint shrinks and you get a groove. So it looks awful. So any filler that you put on a car, you have to make sure to accommodate for that. So he had lots of time to let the material shrink back. But when he finished it up, he's looking at it and he goes, "I saw a regular Beetle the other day. It looks weird." He says, "I'm so used to looking at this chop top, and it's so beautiful. The shapes are just perfect." He says, "A standard Beetle looks weird." He says, "It just doesn't look right to me anymore."
I will admit, before I ask you about your biggest challenge on that car, I will tell you, I will admit this. I want a Volkswagen. Uh, and,
hmm
and it's only in recent times, last probably 24 months or so. Really, it's been since I've started doing this podcast, and I've had a few guys on that build them and that have some really badass cars. Um, they stand out at shows. I look at them now.
hmm
I love them chopped. I love the truck versions that they make. I love the larger back tires. I love the extended front ends. I'm really just
hmm
having this attraction towards them. And I keep going back and forth, man. I've got a 62 Beetle that is it's pretty solid, man. It's got a few spots. Passenger side floor needs to be done. Couple spots up on the car are rusted and need to be done. And I keep going
hmm
back and forth. I'm like, Volkswagen this thing or restore it and lower it and kind of, do some of the classic Beetle stuff that I also, I'm a classy guy, man. I like that look too. Ah,
hmm
I just don't know. Right now it's a project. I've got a 1776 in my garage that I'm waiting
hmm
to put in it. It's got, it's stock 1200 6 volt in it now. Pain in the ass. It never wants to start. The battery always dies, every
Yeah,
time
what do you jump it with?
exactly. So every
All
so I
right.
have a trickle charger that I keep on it plugged into an extension cord, and then sometimes that doesn't work, and I'm like, man, this is just getting
Oh.
it's too much. So now it sits under the cover, and I'm really trying to decide what I want to do with this. Karmann Ghia is the project that we're completing and working on right now, though. So this 62 is taking the back burner. But the point was, I want a Volkswagen. They're so sexy. They're so cool. I like them so much. I even like when you
hmm
open up the back, and this 1776 that I have came off of a trike. So it's already got that external kind of, spun around and big ass exhaust that just shoots straight out, which I was going to have to take off to put into the car. And so now sometimes I look at the back of for some of the Volkswagens and I'm like, man, they took that off, that off. That engine would just sit right back there, man. It looks so
Yeah,
damn good.
put it
Yes,
right in.
exactly. So yeah, anyhow, this ain't about me. This is about you. Back to this car though. What was one of your biggest challenges? What was one of the hardest parts of building it? Was it the roof?
Actually, that was easy. I had the
Okay.
vision for it, and because the roof is one piece, it's just put it on.
All right.
Harder thing for that was making the pillars line up because the roof, as you know, they slope upwards like this, so the
Mhm.
pillars get more narrow. So when you drop the roof down and you cut a section out of it, the pillars don't line up anymore.
Yeah, they
So
spread
you
out.
have to take all the pieces and stretch them this. The bottom ones have to widen, top ones have to come out. Everything needs to be just, yeah, it was a lot of work went into that. But the roof was actually the easy part. The roof, if I were to redo one, I could probably do it in a weekend. That's not too hard. The doors were a lot harder because there's a lot of moving parts in there and there's more pieces that need to fit right. And because of the roof sloping forwards and the pillars having changed, now the doors needed radical adjustments. And I don't even know if the window is going to roll up all the way yet because of the way the pillars lean. I'm going to have to come up with a solution for that.
You
And
still
I
have
think the
the car,
solution might
right?
be,
This is
oh
still
yeah,
your,
it's in the garage.
yeah,
Yep,
that's
in the
what I
garage.
thought.
Yeah, it's
Any
in the garage.
thoughts yeah, have you ever thought about selling it, or is it just a absolutely no way, never will?
The question comes up very often, and I get offers all the time. In fact, I just got an offer a few weeks ago again. It's not where I want to be because to me, the car is priceless. It's something I've wanted my whole life. And, it's an 18-year-old dream. Finally getting it now, middle-aged man, finally getting his toy car. So I don't think I could let it go unless somebody really gave me a stupid offer. And then if that happened, you know what I'm going to do? Back to the garage and build another one.
That's it. So let's touch on some of your inventions. I think
Yes.
it's really cool. I want and I'm excited to hear about this. At what point did you start to think, maybe some of this stuff I'm creating, I should maybe start thinking about selling it? Or, yeah. But tell me kind of how this started to metastasize.
Well, I had solutions to problems. And one of the problems I had, particularly with my quacken bushing, is that little nylon bushing. And I'm sure you've replaced these things. Everybody has. If you own a Volkswagen, you're going to replace it after some time. And
Explain
it
what
used to be cheap.
bracket bushing is to somebody who
Well, we're going to
doesn't
get
have
to that. The original bushing is just a nylon bushing that goes in your shifter shaft. It slides right in a little hole and your shaft goes through it. And I'm not trying to be perverted here, but it slides right in there. And that bushing will fall apart and then you have a loose hole. And your shifter will bang around, you miss gears, and it's just a horrible, horrible experience. Now, the parts are relatively inexpensive. They used to be less than $1. Nowadays, they cost you up to $5 for one of these nylon bushings, and when you install it, it breaks. Like I just spent $5 on this thing, it's already broken. So you better buy two because hopefully the second one will work. But I created a part that completely replaces that out of modern materials. This actually uses a urethane, a modern urethane that's soft and squishy and has self-healing properties. So if it gets a scratch on it, it'll actually heal itself up. It
What?
won't heal if you cut it. If you cut it, it's ruined. But if you put a little scratch in it, yeah, it'll self-heal. These things are soft, so they still absorb vibration. There are other solutions on the market that are made from brass or Delrin, but then your shifter vibrates. And everybody that I know that used one of those says the same thing. The shifter shakes all over the place. Mine doesn't do that. You get a nice soft piece in there. It also eliminates the metal ring. There's a metal ring in there that holds that split nylon piece closed, which is just awful because when you push them in, they start to do this. They just my piece is concentric and closed. So when you install it, then you push your shaft into it, it stays locked into place. It goes nowhere. And it has to be completely obliterated for it to even fall out. So they should last a lot longer. And in my experience, because I test all my own products, they've made it through the hot summers here in Florida, and they made it through the freezing winters where it snowed here in Pensacola. And they
Crazy.
never fouled up. They never shattered, broke, or, they never just, the shifter feels just like it did from the day I installed those bushings. And in addition to the quacken bushing, which is the piece that goes underneath the shifter, I also created a set of shaft huggers that I call them, which is the pucks that go in the back that holds your shift rod to your transmission. And I designed those a little differently too, so they wrap around the shaft rather than being two flat things on a round surface. Because what does that do? It rolls. Wants to just shift and roll. This actually will hold or hug the shaft. So these things have just worked really, really well. And whenever I go to an event, I always have some in the car because people are always like, "I want one now." So here you go. But it started out with just a small batch. I fixed a couple of my own cars. A lot of trial and error went through it to make it work. And then somebody said, I want one. So I made a couple of them and I sold a few. And then all of a sudden it was, I want more. So I made a batch and that sold out quick. And I'm like, now I need to make a big batch. And now at this point, I need to invest in some new tooling to make some more because I'm nearly out of them again. And my tooling is starting to fail. So
Good for
I got
you,
to get
man.
some new parts made up.
Hey, I love that. Love to hear the innovativeness, the inventive side of that, and that it's successful. That's so cool. How the heck do you come up with these names, though?
Um, Part of my personality. Again, I can't tell where these things come from. Maybe I have a link to an alternate dimension somewhere. It's just I have an antenna. I'm receiving signals from aliens. It's just that the names just come to mind. And being that it was a duck thing and it's a bushing, I was like, Quackenbush is somebody's name. How about a Quackenbushing? So I Googled it.
Hey,
And there's nothing on the internet about quackenbushing, so I called it dirt quackenbushing or dirt quackenbushing, as I like to say it. I'm probably using a poor accent for that, and added a little trademark next to it, and it's my product. So now
yeah,
when people mention quackenbushings, they know it's the Duckman, and they know what it is because of what it is. So one name for everything. And that's
yeah.
how I came to that mine. And shaft huggers, well, I mean it's literal shaft hugger.
Something
So
else I saw in your background was it the logic converters?
yes, the logic converters.
Yeah. What problem were you trying to solve with coming up with these?
3-into-2 wiring for taillights. I
Uh,
had a gentleman bring over a car here that was doing a 12 volt. This wasn't a 12 volt conversion. It was a partial 12 volt conversion. He had a 6-volt car and he had these little 12 volt adapters he wanted only on certain lights. And it went, ah! What are you doing? He goes, this is the way I want to do it. I want to change out the generator. I want to keep everything 6 volt. I'm like, well, everything's not 6 volt if you're using these adapters. So anyway, he got some 12-volt LED snowflake taillights. And the wiring that goes into them is 3 wires. There's a ground and there's a bright and a low, and that's all there is in there. On later model taillights, you have 3 wires that goes into it: your tail light, your brake light, and your turn signal. So you got to combine those 3 wires into two, and that doesn't mesh. They don't work. And if you try to double 2 of them up, then you end up with goofy things happening. Your brake lights come on the wrong side, or your turn signals turns on both sides. It's just it's bad situation. So what the logic converter does is it separates these signals out to where they're supposed to go. So if you have a brake light signal and a turn signal come on at the same time, it makes that one side flash. So it turns the on signal, if this makes sense. The brake light is currently on. Instead of it being on, it turns it to an off signal. So it turns the brake light off. Instead of it flashing, it turns it off. So it's logically converting the signals into what it works to. So he had this goofy setup. He had his 12-volt lights. He had the wrong turn signal switch. And I said, there's only one way I know how to make this work. And I said, we can use a trailer adapter. But then you're going to have these wires and it's going to be a mess. I said, I'm going to design you something that we can actually take your Volkswagen plugs and just plug them all in right to where they belong. So simply just pull your wiring out, plug it into this, maybe an extra jumper wire or two, and solve your problem. Anyway, I went and I produced a product, produced a circuit board, and that was the original prototype, and it worked so well on that car. I said, okay, we have a prototype that functions. Let me make a couple adjustments to this, and let's sell them. And as soon as I put them on the website, they started selling too. I impressed myself with that, and I even run one myself, and I turned it around backwards because instead of it being for taillights, it works on my double glass headlights, which has a little running light in the bottom. I
Hmm.
put an extra bright bulb in there, and now it's a running light and a turn signal. So when the running
Yeah.
lights are currently on, it gives an off signal to this side, so it'll shut it off. So that worked out really nicely on there, and I'm very proud of my product, and I use it. And in addition, I have another product here, which is on my desk, which little dusty. This is my original prototype of it. But what this is my signal switch headlight control. It
Okay.
eliminates your headlight switch. This is something I haven't released yet to the market. I have the prototype is currently running. Well, actually, the production version is running in my car. This is the prototype. But how it works, eliminates your headlight switch. How do you turn your headlights on? I always liked Japanese cars in particular because you can turn the headlights on from your turn signal stock. A lot of Nissans and Hondas are that way. I said, I wish I could do that on a Volkswagen, but there's no stock that you can replace that has all the switches in it. You just have a high beam, low beam.
Hmm.
So I said, what if we had a little computer that controls your high beam, low beam switch? So if you pull the switch one time, the running lights come on. You pull it a second time, the headlights come on. You pull it a third time, your high beams come on. And then it's high, low, high, low, high, low. Hold it 2 seconds, off. Now
Yo.
you have one wire. One wire controls all your headlights.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Awesome.
clever? So that's what this little guy is right here. This is the prototype of it. Webfootenterprises.com, my website. Yeah, so it's a great little product. I've been running it for I guess almost a year now. This was an idea that goes into, and I'd show you. It's out here on my desk. This is my whole computer for my 56 oval. I have an entire circuit board here, several circuit boards that's going to control the entire car. Every single light will come on independently if I so choose. Everything is
Wow.
controlled by a computer. So I can break out my phone and I can click headlights on. I can click start car. All that stuff from my phone. It's all available from there. I can even have it make sound effects. It's all built into this board even. So it can talk to me if I wanted to. Doors are unlocked. Yeah, it could quack. It could whistle. I mean, it could talk like Knight Rider if I wanted it to. A kit could could become alive.
My
I'd
God.
probably use a sexy female voice because
Yeah.
probably more fitting, but but yeah, it has the ability to do all this stuff. It turns on. There's 32 circuits that I can turn on individually, and there's 32 different switches also that can control it. So I can have things do different things. And each switch doesn't necessarily control one item because the switch can be programmed to do multiple things. Like I did with this thing where you pull the switch multiple times and it does different things. You could double tap things and
Oh,
have things do
cool.
things. You can hold things for 2 seconds and it does something different. So I try to set it up intuitively. There's a lot of programming that's going to have to go into it. That's another one of the things that I do, computer programming. That's actually my background. So I've since retired from that mostly, but I'm using my skill set into building this board here. And it's sitting right here on the desk. I just can't show you because it's got temporary wires and things bridging to circuit boards and things that are just going to
Yeah.
Fly apart. It's in a
So,
test mode right now.
I probably shouldn't ask then what's next because that is next, right? That is the
Now,
next.
that is something that I'm working on, yes.
Okay.
That is something. There's a lot of different somethings. I mean, after this car gets together, I do have my 67 bus that I need to finish up. I
Nice.
was working on that. I forget the name of the hurricane that came through here, but I was out of town at the time because I had just lost my father at the time, and I was down at his house cleaning things up. And I was on the way home when the hurricane hit up here, and it was forecasted not to come here, but it did,
When was
and it
it?
just made a. Oh, I want to say 2021, maybe 2020. It was in September. It was on the anniversary of Ivan. I can't remember the name of it.
God, I'm drawing a blank too. I keep wanting to talk about the ones from just a couple of years ago.
Sally. It was
Helene.
Sally.
Okay, Sally. Yeah.
Hurricane Sally came through in late September.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was on the anniversary of Ivan, which happened in '04, which is the same hurricane that messed up my Beetle. Now it messed up my bus, exactly 16 years later on the same day. Anyway, my bus was out in the yard. I had just bought $10,000 worth of patch panels and things for it. I mean, I have all kinds of stuff out there, and I had it nicely covered with a tent out in the yard. And I'd roll it out, work on it, roll it back in there, and I was very actively working on this thing when the hurricane threw my tents up in the trees, threw my body panels all over the garage, or all over the yard rather, and flash rusted everything.
Ah,
Everything just flash rusted, and I just became completely discouraged with the project. I put
good.
a new tent up, put it all away, and I said, I'll get back to that another day. I'm trying to get a shop and some workspace. That's also one of my near future things, and I want to put the bus in there and take it apart. And I mean, really dig into it, just like I did with this Beetle. And that's the reason why the Beetle has such a unique shape. It isn't because I just chopped the roof. I actually built that car up in pieces because it was just so gone. So everything is just finicky on it. And I want to do the same thing with the bus. Just take it all apart, go through every single piece, get all the rust out of it. Again, no rust, and put it all back together.
Hey,
So
man.
that's where I'm at with that. That's another project coming up.
I'm cool with that, too, because my wife feels the same way. She doesn't understand the whole patina thing, and she didn't want any rust. There was a couple bubbles coming up in her lights up near the headlights on the Ghia, and there were a couple
Hmm.
spots at the very bottom in some of the rocker. And she just didn't know. She was like, "No, let's have it fixed. If you're having all those trim holes fixed, let's have all the rust fixed too." So we did. So yeah, dude, I totally get that. Totally get that. The no rust thing. Um, and then you even know, like, even people that don't know that much about rust or body work, they probably know
Hmm.
that rust is really kind of almost like a cancer.
Yeah, it
It
can be.
spreads, right, and it can become something that continues to grow, and then even pops up in areas close by, and that kind of stuff too. So yeah, yeah, I'm with you to an extent. I do love a little bit of patina these days just because it's grown on me. And probably more than anything, what's grown on me is Volkswagens. They're just so
Yeah, I
damn
mean, it's nice on the right car, absolutely. By the
yeah.
way, check out Eric Fernand's build. I'll send that information to you later. You'll probably even use a picture of him here in the video, but he's got a Volkswagen, and I based my
I
roof chop off of his project.
I
So
recognize
just a
that.
beautiful,
Do you know
beautiful.
down south of me, do you know Lance Cone?
Yeah, he's friends with Lance.
Yeah, they
He's got the
usually
same
roll.
shop. Yeah,
They usually roll together.
they
Um,
do.
yeah, Lance came on the podcast last year, and we talked about
Okay.
Volkswagens and his builds, and he's got that truck and that other badass Volkswagen. He's one of the guys I was telling you about that really kind of not necessarily turned me on to him, but really made me really start pushing a
Hmm.
little more toward wanting one. He had mentioned his buddy, Eric and stuff back then, and I think we even may have even talked about trying to get Eric to come on, but I don't know if he wants to or didn't want to back then or whatever. It's all good. No big deal.
He's
But
a nice guy.
I
He
know.
probably would. I mean, I reached out to him back in 2020 because he lived in, or still lives over in West Palm. And
Hmm.
I was in Fort Myers, and I was just like, I'm down here. I really want to see your car. I said, I built so much of my own project based on your cuts, and I did so many things based on that, and I have these same shapes and ideas. And I said, I just love it. He says, is there any way I can come over there and see it? He's like, sure, come on over. And he's just very inviting. He meet me over here, and we'll take a ride in it. I'm like, cool. Anyway, I got there and I didn't expect that everybody was going to know who the Duckman was because they did. And they had a party for me.
Dude, cool, man.
They took me out. They had this whole cruise for me. And they had all the Miami guys came on up, and it was probably
Oh,
about
cool.
30 cars. It was just a
Wow.
huge adventure. They were so warm and inviting, and I didn't expect any of that. I was just figured to be, hey, we'll have a drink or something, laugh, look at your car, and then I'll go home. No, I spent the whole night out there, and it was just it was an adventure. I made a whole video of the day too. It was fun. It
So
was really fun. I'm very thankful.
let's go opposite end of warm and inviting. All right.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah, I know. We need to, we like to save the best for last. All right. So
Oh, the best stuff for last, yeah.
without naming any names, tell us what happened that you've kind of touched on a few times here in this episode that pushed you to leave your old club.
Well, there was a leadership takeover. Wild Bill, who was the president of our club, I said a name, that's the only one I'm going to say, decided he's going to retire from the club for multiple different reasons. He had some stuff going on and wanted to get out. So I thought about stepping up myself, and he was for the idea. He's like, you probably should do that. But I was like, I don't have the time for this. I retired for a reason. I don't want any of this drama. I don't want the nonsense. I don't want to have to be the leader again and, run another business. And he's like, well, maybe you should rethink about it. And I kind of did. And then all of a sudden, somebody else stepped up, and it was somebody else I was supportive of. And I was like, good, this is a good choice. Well, negativity came out of it. Just a lot of negativity. A lot of people towards people, ideas. There was just a large amount of anger, arrogance, difficulty with sharing things and ideas, trying to steer this person or people in down the right road and just steer them in the right direction. I said, you're taking a path of no return. You're damaging the reputation of the club. And it turned into outright hatred towards me. And I'm like, I'm trying to help you. I'm on your side here. I said, this is my club too. This is my home. And if everybody else is hating on these ideas that you're doing and these things aren't working, we need to make adjustments and we need to do them now. I said, you need a PR guy. I'll do your PR. Who could do it better? I'm the guy that draws attention to himself. And they said it themselves. You're the face of the club. Well, if I'm the face of the club, then I need to be the face of the club. You don't want me talking to people, apparently. For whatever reason, there was these personal problems with me. They didn't like me personally. Maybe it's because I'm loud. Maybe it's because I'm obnoxious. And if my name and picture were to be anywhere in the dictionary, it'd probably be next to the word obnoxious. So very often I do rub people the wrong way, and very often it's on purpose. So when it got to the point that anything that I was trying to do that was helpful to steer the club in the right direction was being just I'm trying not to be foul because I've never used foul language in any of this stuff ever, ever. And that's important here, and that's part of this topic because this other people can stand up in front of a crowd of the club and curse and swear. And I've never done that. I stand up in front of the club and don't sit down with my knees to my chest. I give people respect, absolute respect. So this, the way the club was being treated, the way the people were being handled, the way things, volunteers, elected officials were being kicked out. Things were just, it was, yeah, I know, you're elected to be this role for the next year. You don't like the way they're doing things, so you kick them out? That doesn't work. You kick me out because you don't like me? And I'll never understand this. I'm from New Jersey, as I've made clear. And where I come from, whether you're a wise guy or not, the biggest earner is the one that determines their rank. So if you're coming in with the most money, and that's something that I was, I'm going to toot my own horn here. I come in with about 2/3 of the money every year to that club. And you're not on the side of the things that I'm doing, and you're not helping me to do my job. Instead, you're working against me. Yeah, you're kind of in the wrong spot. You kind of don't need to be there. And the way I see leadership is you have to take your, actually, there's two types of leadership. There's the one kind of leader that can take somebody and make themselves look above them by knocking them down, whether they be condescending, maybe they criticize their work, maybe they overwhelm them, maybe they're just rude. All those things happen. Or there's a second kind of leadership where you take the people that are below you and you put them above you. You say, they're doing a better job than me. I know they can do this. They can handle this. And you give them all the tools that they can to succeed. That's the leader that I want to be. I can't say that I am. Somebody else has to tell me that. That's the leader that I aspire to be. Instead, we were getting the latter. And that just pushed me. It just pushed me. And it got to the point one afternoon where all this negative PR because they don't know how to handle PR and they don't know how to say the right things to people has aggravated and upset not just our club, but the clubs surrounding us. So a 250-mile radius from New Orleans to Tallahassee to, north of us in Alabama, everybody's upset because we had the biggest car show in this local community. And to watch everything just crumble and fall apart was very upsetting to everybody.
Mm.
So people began to reach out to me and ask me what's going on. And I said, well, I'm not doing the PR. I can't say. I'm not here to tell you negative things. I'm here to tell you positive things. And if they are doing something that's off, maybe you need to use the right words to make it sound good. Polish it. Instead, you're giving a turd to everybody and you're telling them it's a turd and you're expecting them to eat it. And that doesn't work. At least make it shiny and put a little seasoning on it. Make it better than what it is, and you're not getting that. So that day that I said, if you don't want help with this, I'm not going to help you anymore. And I used the Batman quote, and I forget what it was. It's when Christian Bale was on the subway train, and he was about to stab somebody or something, and the bad guy said to him, "Oh, so you're just like us, huh?" And Batman says, "No, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you either." And he jumps off the train. And the train crashes and explodes and everything like that. So I gave him that Batman quote and I stopped answering them. I was done. The following morning, and I don't know if you know, but I actually ran the website and all that such. And I just started pulling plugs at everything and shutting things down. I mean, it was going down. And then I got a nasty phone call, and the nasty phone call says, "You've been fired from the club." I'm like, "I quit yesterday." You know why I quit? I quit because you wouldn't listen. You wouldn't listen. This is exactly it. You didn't listen to me quitting even. So anyway, I wouldn't answer the call. I got voicemail. I listened to half of it, and the answer was, "We're going to do everything on paper. Get rid of the website." Okay. This is delete key. Boom. Done. I talked to my legal advice to make sure I did the right things. He says, "You're good." He said, "There's always that possibility somebody might sue you for it." I said, "Well, the time frame they're going to sue it, they'll never get it." He says, "It still could happen." I said, "I doubt it's going to cost money." Who wants to pay money for, a nonprofit? I said, "I want to be disconnected from them." He says, "Do they have their data?" I said, "Yes." I put a fail-safe in place so that way if anything ever happened to me, and this is being a wise IT guy seasoned for having done this 30 years, if something happened to me, what would they do? They have their backup. All of the backup data is in their PayPal account because every order that comes through, I send a copy of it over there and a full invoice. Here's your car registration, year, make, model, name, right? He bought a t-shirt, what size? It's all there. They
Mhm.
have all their data. But they wanted my data because my data is nicely formatted and it's got a this and it's got a that. It's a list and it's been manipulated. Go manipulate your own data. It's on your PayPal. Go get it. And this is where I told him if anything ever happened, and I more than once expressed that you can find your stuff here. They didn't want to do that. Instead, this is the best part. They turned me into the demon. He destroyed everything. He stole the whole club. He's the most awful person in the world. And then, of course, they turned on all the personal things. He's a womanizer. Oh, he's doing this and I told you some of that. I'm not even going to elaborate about that because those topics are radioactive and disgusting.
Right.
Absolutely disgusting. And the things that I don't do is touch people or touch their cars. And I mean, I'm being loud about that because I can't express it anymore. You don't mess with people or their cars. That's part of our community. That's an untold rule. You don't have to say that. You should just know it. You don't mess with people and their cars, period. So after I had quit, I probably said some things to some people that made them upset because that's my right here in America.
That's
I
right.
get to voice my opinions on things, and I didn't even use opinions. I use facts. This is what happened. This is why it happened. This is where we are. No name calling, no threats. I didn't say I was going to hurt anybody. No, this is it. This is it. One polished, shiny, done. And I'm out. And then I just watched everything go. Community started collapsing, and I'm laughing about it now because we can. Then it was frightening. I mean, I was upset. I was really upset because this is something that I had built along with Wild Bill, who had a 30-year legacy in this club, and I have a good 8 years running car show registration and everything else through our website. I took our car show from 80, 90 cars to over 200, and it was just growing continuously. just to watch this all just fall apart because some new people stepped up and decided that they didn't want things the way they were and that things worked, but they didn't like the way it worked. They wanted something different. And unfortunately, the public generally didn't agree. They just generally didn't agree. So very quietly, I sat in the background and I started planning the things that I do. And I kept getting asked by other people in the local community, "Are you going to start your own club?" And it was a no. No, no, I don't want to start my own club. I really don't. I said, I'm really not interested in that. And then I started getting people who says, "You need to start a new club." You think so? I said, yeah. I said, what we have is just not it. I said, you were doing things before. We liked the way you were doing things. People know who you are. People respect you. And I was like, but this is not what I'm seeing. I said, these people are telling everybody these things and others are believing it. I said, no, most of us don't believe it. We just want to be included in a car club culture, and this is the only club we have. I said, okay. So I started planning, came up with the name first. There's oil slickers. And I'm like, uh-oh, there's another oil slickers. Can't do that. No, it's like, well, why don't we make it sound like a little culture or some kind of a private, group or organization, something secret, a secret society. And I was like, Oil Slicker Society. Like, now we got something. OSS. Okay. And we got an idea. And then I said, OSS, OS. That don't sound right. Ozzy Osbourne had just passed at the time. And I was like, Ozzy, OSSI, International. Let's think big. Oil Slicker Society International was born. I got this all written out on paper, and this was sometime in late September.
Start
I
with
came
the
up with a
end in
logo.
mind.
Yeah, I came up with a logo. I came up with a color, the orange. Did that because it's warm and inviting. It's also was a seasonal thing. We launched on Halloween of all things. Just coincidentally worked out that way, and our colors just happened to be black and orange. So I was like, this is just it's meant to be. Everything just worked out that way. So I launched it silently without saying anything on Halloween in the afternoon, evening. I was the first registered member. The next day was the show in New Orleans, and Wild Bill had gone over there, and I was watching my machines, which are actually in that closet behind that door where my servers live. And I was sitting right here at this desk, making sure that nothing fouled up because everything that I had built for this website, everything in its structure, everything was untested at this point. Nobody had been through the system yet except me. Is it going to work? And more importantly, are people going to want what I've built? Are people going to be interested in this? And my original plan, my original goal, which hasn't even happened yet, supposed to be midsummer, which we just started summer last weekend. So sometime midsummer, I wanted 20 to 30 members. That was the goal. 20 to 30 members. I figured about 9 months of time, I could get 20 or 30 members. I'll get a decent following, and we can finally start organizing a show or something with that. Well, the first week we had 50. I still can't believe that myself. First week, 50 members.
Tell me this. What is member? What does it take to be a member?
Well, it's real simple. Hop onto the website and pay your fee. It's $20.
Okay.
That's the initial thing as far as the paperwork is concerned. But what does
Okay.
it take to be a member? You want to be part of a community. That's really what this is about. It's about love and sharing. This is about being a we culture. It's not about a me culture. It's not about an I culture. And you said it best in your other post, which is what made us communicate. It's not a us versus them. This
Hmm.
is a we.
Right.
And we includes this other club. It also includes all the clubs that are around us. Even though I was told by the other leaders that other clubs don't matter, they matter greatly. The entire community matters around the world, internationally, which is, again, one of the reasons why we chose that name. We as a Volkswagen culture support each other. Even if it's just verbal, we're there. But
So
we
you
make sure
probably
locally here.
so
I'm
you,
sorry?
I was saying, so you probably didn't expect your near 150 members,
Oh, yeah.
little under 200 days. Impressive, brother.
In the first 2 months, it was 100. So by the end of the year, we had 101 and 155 sitting right now currently. Last I looked, it actually could be different. Let's find out. I'm curious. Go ahead. Come on. Let it refresh here. Let's do something dramatic. No, it's still 155.
All right. So while
155 members with 173 cars registered in the system, 250 photos.
very cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
17 different states, 5 countries. I mean, it's
Yeah.
growing.
Cool.
I was thinking out of the box once again. I was thinking bigger. It's not just about Pensacola. This is about all of us. And is this the
Give us the
analogy I had been
long-term.
using? Because I had been hearing from others that the other club was saying that there's not enough room in this town for two clubs and it's going to be a turf war. I'm like, come on, guys. There's this pie, which is our community. And this is the analogy I used every single time. And there's only so many ways you can cut up that piece of pie until you're getting these little tiny slivers for everybody. And everybody likes pie. And do you want a little sliver of pie or do you want a big piece of pie? You tell me, you, Joe, do you like pie?
Uh, Depending on what kind of pie, I'm down with pie.
Well, would you prefer a small piece or a reasonably big piece?
I'd probably have a reasonably big piece.
Right. Well, here with the Oil Slicker Society, we're taking all the pieces of the pie and giving to you at the same time. So you get the whole pie. You
Nice.
get the whole pie. It's not about pieces of the pie anymore. It's not about arguing or picking or choosing. It's now giving everybody everything. You get all of it. It's our entire culture. It's our entire community. Everybody is joining together on this thing. And
So what's
because of this culture,
the
which
big
we've,
vision?
I don't think, yeah, everybody else hasn't really put this into print or into a bylaws structure or anything else until I might be the first until I came along and actually did this. And all of a sudden, everybody's going, you know what? The Duckman might make a lot of goofy mistakes on YouTube, but he might be onto something here. And I got an awful lot of followers from it. I mean, people from all over, people I've never talked to before, people in other states are just like, I want to support you in what you're doing. We really like this. And I've even been approached in other states and other areas to open other chapters already.
Yeah,
And we're
cool.
so young. I know, isn't it? It's amazing.
It
It's just
really is.
absolutely amazing. So I have to think bigger. My targets are no longer around the Pensacola Bay Area. My culture or the targets. Yeah, there you go.
We've thought about that with Salty Dub. With same
Hmm.
thing with Salty Dub. I think it's not a club or anything yet, but the Facebook page has over 1,200 followers, and it's just our business that we started to start
Hmm.
promotional events. We do like 4 or 5 events per year here in the greater Tampa Bay area. Me and my buddy Alan, he's the guy that owns Vera Upholstery. But
Hmm.
same stuff. People email us and they're like, "Hey man, we need a Salty Dub, Central California, Southern California. We need one in New Jersey and New York and Miami wants to get
Hmm.
on." And it's not something that we've established or even have put thought behind yet. We both have full-time jobs and all of that. But again, this is not about me. I just think it's interesting to hear how when things I feel like are meant to be and your heart is in the right place,
Hmm.
the general public ends up showing up and they want to get behind it and they want to support it, dude.
That's the words I keep hearing. A lot of people were saying that this proves that it was needed
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that I just happened to do the right thing. And I just, I'm amazed that it was me. I figured it would have been somebody else to do something like this. I'm not, I mean, I'm an idea guy, but I'm an idea that builds things for myself. And
Yeah,
ultimately, I did build the club for myself. If you browse through our bylaws, you'll see that all the things that I wrote up in there were the things that happened to me that I'm not ever going to let happen to another member.
yeah, good,
So
nice.
all that was written up in there. And one of the big things is our freedom of speech, our Bill of Rights. We have that in this club. You can speak. Of course, we're asking you to be nice. If you go to an event, don't start cursing and swearing at everybody and flipping off children kind of thing. But keep yourself civil. But freedom of speech is encouraged. We want you to speak out because we want your opinions. We want to fix things and make them better if they need to be. So that's why we're here. And so far, I think I've done the right things because not many people have wanted to make any changes at all. People are really on board with what we're doing.
And it's growing.
It is growing. It's
There's
growing
some,
so fast,
yeah,
just
so
so fast. It's scary.
there's
But
even more proof.
all this positivity that we have here is just we don't have negative press releases of any sort. And I haven't had to say anything bad at all to my members yet, except one of our products wasn't selling that well. So we're just going to discontinue it. So what? Everything has been good. But with negativity, you can't have that be the basis of your club or your organization, your culture. I
Right.
said negativity isn't sustainable unless you're a weatherman. If you're a weatherman, then negativity is great. If you're the press, negativity is great. People buy this stuff. For us, no, we don't need that here. We don't need that. This is about positivity. It's about growth. It's about helping the community and making things better for everybody.
let's touch on that community aspect. What are things, right, that come to the top of your mind that the Volkswagen community gets wrong today versus what are some of the things that they actually still get right today?
Oh, community, that's a very good question. Seeing as how I'm very actively involved in the Pensacola community, and I have been elsewhere, I've been in Western Kentucky before, I've been in Fort Myers, I did New Jersey. I gotta say that our community here is in general more inclusive. There's a lot more Volkswagen owners that want to do things. And I think getting people to actually participate in things is probably what people aren't doing right. If you enjoy your Volkswagens and you enjoy the culture, get out there with people. Don't leave that thing in the garage to rot because guess what? It's going to break. It just sits there. It's going to break. So you have to get out there and you have to participate in your community. It doesn't mean spend money, but it does mean get out there, be seen, get noticed. If people are traveling in the car group, we're doing this on purpose because we want the people to see us. It's our advertisement. And as a nonprofit, we're trying to help our community. And we eventually will be earning more money because of more recognition, that being seen. So do participate in your community. And if you can spend money, great. Spend money in the local businesses, spend money at local restaurants, and do these events together. And that's one of the things that we do with Oil Slickers. We're very active and we do 2, 3 events a week. We're very busy. And that might be one of the other reasons for our success because other things weren't happening elsewhere. There was nothing going on for months at a time. And we pack our calendar, which is another thing, by the way. We got a beautiful calendar on our website. Have you seen that?
I haven't. You
The
want to,
calendar is awesome.
you want to share your screen and show it?
Uh, no,
Okay.
only because I have multi-monitors, 6 of them, and I
Okay.
don't know what it's going to do. So you might end up with a screen, this big.
Yeah.
So yeah, that won't work. But if you go to
Beautiful.
oilslickers.com/calendar, you can actually have a look at it. But all of our events are right up there on our calendar. And it's not just our events. It's the entire Volkswagen community events from a 250-mile radius. That's all the way from New Orleans to Tallahassee, all the way up to Tannehill, where our northernmost show is at. So everybody that's within that umbrella can put their events on this calendar. Now, we might put some that are slightly outside of that if it logically makes sense, of course. If you're, I don't know, 30 minutes past, hour past, it's fine. You want to participate with our community, you can put an event on there. But it also doesn't have to be a Volkswagen specific event. There it is. You got it. So it doesn't have to be a Volkswagen specific event. It can be any event that's Volkswagen friendly. And you see tonight we have that one that's flashing there where we're going to be meeting over at Bubba's 33 for the Volkswagen takeover of the Bad Boys event. The Bad Boys are mostly American cars, and they invited Emerald Coast Volkswagen Club, which is the other club, over to them, and they posted an event for that. And I said, why don't we tag along? It's the whole community. Let's get all the Volkswagens out there. Well, needless to say, the oil slickers dominated the event. We have more than American cars even. We just took over. So they're so happy to see us. They can't wait to have us, and we're going to be there again today.
Cool.
And Fred, the president of the Bad Boys, which is again mostly American cars, was very thankful that I came out. Also a New Jersey guy from right where I'm from, so we're very easy to relate to each other.
Sure.
So it's a blast. All events, anything Volkswagen or Volkswagen friendly from our umbrella can go on that calendar. And in time, as we start to expand out to other chapters or other regions or whatever we start doing from there, we'll add other events to this calendar. And I'm going to dial them in so you could say, here's my zip code, give me a mile radius, show me everything on the calendar. Boom, boom, boom. There it is.
Cool, man.
Again, being a programmer and having all this data at my fingertips, it works out really nicely. And anybody can add an event. There's a button on the top that says add event. If you don't have a Oil Slickers account, you don't need one. Just go ahead and put a name, password in there and gives yourself something to log in, create your event, submits it to me. And then I police them just to make sure that they do meet the criteria. Again, being in the area, being Volkswagen friendly, and not being pornographic or something nonsense. Because, people like to put garbage in these things and poison the systems. If
We have
anybody knows anything about poisoning a system, it's me.
we, we have our Salty Dub website, and we get
Uh-huh.
you would be well, you wouldn't be. You would probably be right in line with understanding the amount of spam and bullshit that people post.
Oh,
Even
man.
like if we post an event on an events tab on Facebook, because of the traction and the amount of people that are following our events now, in the thousands, there are people that will comment below one of our events and say, oh, we're still selling tickets. If you want, just send us an email. And it's like, who are you? Like,
Oh, those spammers. Yes.
yeah, it's completely true.
Yeah.
And we've even
There's
some folks
a way to
call
shut that off. I'll talk to you about that later.
we did. No, we did. I'm
Oh, you
just
did? You
saying,
got it?
I'm just relating to you in experience that the
Oh,
spammer.
spam is terrible.
Yeah, yeah, it is. All right, all right.
Yes.
I got a final question for you before we jump.
Final question. Are we
Before we
almost
jump
done
into some
already?
rapid fire. Well, I know we're already almost 2 hours, 15 minutes in, and
Oh, I'm having a good time.
I promise you 90 minutes, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But I
I
do have
told you
a
if you gave me a
question.
microphone, I would talk.
I love it, man. No, this is going to make a fantastic episode. Again, I thank you so much for your time and your energy. Here's an awesome question for you though. Describe the Volkswagen community for me in just one word.
Inclusive.
I haven't heard that one yet, even though it's so true and it should be one I hear all the time. I haven't. Good word.
I mean, that's the strong one. It's inclusive. Everybody has to be together.
Oh, super
It's got to
strong.
be inclusive. Yep.
All right.
And if
All
I were
right.
to give it a second one, I would say loyalty.
Okay, man. Both fantastic words. Usually I hear things like family, that type of stuff, but yeah,
Inclusiveness, yeah.
inclusive. I like it, man. Thank you. Good stuff. All right. Rapid fire questions. These are questions that demand a fast response. All right. Now,
Okay.
if a story comes of it, I'm cool with it. I'm not going to derail you. However, rapid fire means typically top of the head, first response, go with the gut, just spit it out there. All right. I got a feeling this ain't gonna be hard for you. All
These used to get me in trouble with my guidance counselor.
right, you ready?
Yes.
All right, rapid fire. Here we go. Split bus or oval Beetle?
Oh, that hurts. Both.
Nope, gotta pick one.
Uh, I'm going to go with the oval just because I'm more done on it. There you go.
Okay.
Oval it is.
All right. Most overrated VW trend in today's market.
Chinese parts.
Ooh, okay. Well said.
Yeah.
Most underrated VW modification.
Oh, I got to think hard about that one. Oh, there's one. It just comes to mind. My Kraken bushing. I mean, everybody needs a good shift bushing. I mean, I might as well give myself a plug.
Awesome.
That's a very important piece.
Okay. All
That's a
right.
very important piece, and so many people don't fix it, and it shifts like garbage. Yeah,
The
Quacken
Kraken
bushing.
bushing. Got it.
Quacken bushing.
Best junkyard score ever.
For me,
Yeah.
that has to be the oval.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, my oval.
One tool you can't live without.
Ah, this computer.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, this computer.
I
This is
have a
what I
feel,
do all my editing on. This is a
I
big piece of my life.
I have a feeling I know where this one's going to go, but carburetors or fuel injection?
Oh, I do like both. But ultimately, if you're taking care of an air-cooled Volkswagen, I say carburetors.
Okay.
But I am going to do fuel injection on my own car because I'm challenging myself to do a technology thing. So I will be doing some kind of homebrewed fuel injection system on my Beetle.
Cool. Favorite VW engine sound?
Flat four.
Okay. Most hated automotive phrase.
The people that confuse cranking the car with turning over the car with the car firing. You understand what I'm saying? Because those are all different terms and they all be used differently, but at the same time. But if in context you're using them improperly, I'm not going to know what you're saying. Those always get me. The car cranks. Okay, so it's firing off? No. So it turns over with the key? No. Okay, so it's not cranky. It's just, you know what I'm talking about,
Yep, 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 yep.
yeah.
Okay, okay, good and interesting. Uh, Tell us one thing that people misunderstand about you.
Most everything actually. A lot of people can't relate to me because I'm just a different person. I'm a unique personality. And even when I've been studying for personality traits all the way back to school, and even when I've taken personality tests online for fun, I always come up with some very unique results. And these things say, it's just I'm not like everybody else. And I get that, and I know that. So very often people don't understand where I'm coming from or what I'm doing or what my intent is. So very often I'm looked at in a negative light. You know, maybe I'm nefarious or I'm dangerous or I'm harmful. None of the above. I'm different.
Usually that's the one that gets the most attention though and the most energy, right?
Yeah.
Is the different one, the unique one, the one that's the one of a kind type
Yep.
person. What comes with that though usually is a following of a lot of people that actually relate to it, because
I was so surprised.
we're all a little, different. And it's
We are different.
yeah, and it's
And
not
that's what I like about people, actually. It's
exactly.
the one thing I like about people. And I never realized I was a people liker until I did this club. And I started to realize how much I do like people. I used to be a real misanthrope. I think people are always going to do the wrong thing. And I noticed that people, when you have somebody that's put the right things in place, that people are making the right decisions, and they are making the right choices, and they're taking care of each other. And this inclusivity that I mentioned before is important. And yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
What do you want people to remember about the Duckman?
Oh, like after I die or something?
Sure. Legacy, we can
Mm,
talk on that. Yeah. What do
I
you
don't know.
want?
I got the Frank Zappa answer to that one. Doesn't matter. I won't be here to know.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
take that
doesn't matter.
on that. Yeah. So tell us this: where can people find you online? Where can people join Oil Slickers? Give us the details, the data, so people can that don't know you or don't know about Oil Slickers yet can actually locate you.
I am very, very easy to find. You can search Oil Slicker Society International or just even Oil Slickers up on YouTube, Facebook, or on Google or any of your favorite search engines. You're guaranteed to find us. If you want to hit the website up directly, go to oilslickers.com. And if you'd like to have a personal conversation with me or you want to know more about my YouTube channels, I'm real easy to find also. Duckman Cycles is the easiest way to look for me. Search for those in any of your favorite search engines. Look for me on YouTube, Facebook. I'm there. I've got Facebook groups for chat. Oh, geez, I got so many Facebook chat groups just for me, which is amazing. But again, draw the attention to myself. But you could easily find me in all these different places. And if you want one place that you can find everything, and I know you're going to love this, check out duckshit.net. All of my links to my social media are there, all of my contact information. It's the best way to reach me always, because if I change anything, you'll find it there.
Okay. Duckshit.net. Let's go.
Duckshit.net.
All right. Final message to the Volkswagen community from you.
Final message.
Yeah.
Love each other. I mean, it's really important. Take care of each other. If you have somebody that's broken down, somebody needs help, this is part of our community, our culture. Other clubs, other cultures are not like this. You don't see the Mopar guys rushing out to get a tow bar to bring somebody home. It's about the Volkswagen guys. So take care of each other. It's really important. Embrace the new people. You get new people that come in here. They don't know this stuff. And I mentioned that earlier in the video. They don't even, maybe not even want to work on these things. They just want to be part of that culture.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have a Volkswagen and they want to be part of their culture, invite them in. And we have some members that have Camaros, some members that have other GM products. Somebody in there owns a Nissan, a Cadillac. It's like, why are you here? It's like, I want to be with you guys. I want to do what you do. So come on out. Bring your Camaro. Come on. Join us. And that's really it. I mean, just inclusivity. Bring everybody. Bring your friends. This is your family. We have chosen you, and I want you to be there. And that's really what it's about. So tell everybody that and include everybody in whatever it is that you do. And that doesn't mean you have to give them free parts or you have to give them free help to everything, but be there for them when they're looking for help. Find them the answers that they need. Just be there.
And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.